All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, they go to John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come my outer name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had he believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise the Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahusha. Shalom, Jay. Acts chapter 28, verse 23. Shalom, Brother Marcus. And when they appointed him a day, there came many to him into lodging, to whom he expounded and testified. Shalom, my G. The Malkuf of Alahym persuaded them concerning Yahusha, both out of the law of Moses. Shalom, sister. And the prophets from morning till evening. And some believed the things which were spoken, and some believed not. And when they agreed not among themselves, they departed after that Paul had spoken one word. Shalom, Caleb, man. Shalom, Brother Renner. Well spake the Ruach HaKadosh by Isaiah, the prophet under our fathers, saying, go unto this people, saying, hear ye, you shall hear, and you shall not understand, and seeing you shall see, and not perceive. For the heart of this people is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing. Their eyes have they closed, lest they should see with eyes, and hear with ears, and understand with heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. What's good, my G? Be it known, therefore, unto you that the salvation of Alahym is sent unto the Gentiles, and they will hear it. And when he had said these words, the Yahudim departed and had great reasoning among themselves. And Paul dwelt 2 whole years in his own hired house, and received all that came in unto him, preaching the Malkuf of Alahym, and teaches those things which concern the Lord Yahusha HaMashiach with confidence, no man forbidding him. Now, we were talking about the word in and of itself on Wednesday. There's an element in that I wanted to add. But before we do that, let's read Psalms 145 and 8. From Psalms 145 and 8 to Matthew 5 and 17. From Matthew 5 and 17 to Proverbs 31. Psalms 145 and 8. Yahuwah gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger, and of great mercy. Yahuwah good to all, and in all his tender mercies over all his works. All your works shall praise you, O Yahuwah, and your saints shall baruch you. They shall speak of the esteem of your Malkuf and talk of your power, to make known to the sons of Adam his mighty acts and the esteemed majesty of his Malkuf. Your Malkuf and everlasting Malkuf, and your dominion throughout all generations. What's the word, man? So, Matthew 5, verse 17. Now, I know we talked about that one particular passage in Ecclesiastes 8, where the word of the Malach is there is mastery. See, power is in the ability to have mastery over yourself, which is why that one of the elements of the fruits of the Ruach is self-control. I seen a brother today ask, which one of the fruits of the Ruach do you lack? If you got the Ruach, you don't like none of them. You're supposed to have all of them. It's not something that you just, let me work on this and work on that. All of these things are elements of the word. They're not individual of themselves. They're all mutually exclusive. Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly I say unto you, till Shamahim and the rats pass, one jot or one tittle, shall no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. With that statement being said in verse 18, who recalls what verse 18 is referring to? We did a whole good 2 months talking about verse 17 and 18. Who can tell me what verse 18 is referring to off the top of their brain? For radiant skin. Who can tell me what verse 18 is talking about? If you come on here, man, and you ain't been on here before, and you think that verse 18 is talking about, that don't mean that you ain't got to keep the law. You've been poorly instructed. I can tell you that right now. If you think that's what that verse means, you've been poorly instructed. The kingdom of Alahym in what fashion? Because that's kind of that's very general. Very, very general. Very open-ended. You want to kind of seal out all the air, if you would. We at what, 5:35? I give you till 6:45 to come up with something, man, before we proceed on a swift synopsis of what this means. Shalom, Brother Ellis. You got about 50 seconds. You got about 35 seconds. And that's not incorrect, but we want to be even more specific than that. So right answer, we want to be even more specific than that, if possible. Shalom, East, man, if possible. You got 10 seconds. Let's take a look, right? And this is for people who don't know, and you understand the importance of why having the word is of high importance. Isaiah 65 and 17. Along with Isaiah 65 and 17, we'll look at Isaiah 66 because they right by each other, mentioning the same thing, so we can knock out two birds with one stone. It said, "For behold, I create a new Shamahim, a new heaven, and a new Aras, and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." Matter of fact, listen to what he says, right? I will create a new heaven and a new earth, and the former will not be remembered. Now, why is it important that the former earth will not be remembered? Let's pause. Isaiah chapter 24, and you can see why the former heaven and earth won't be. Matter of fact, before we do that, because we read it on Wednesday, come back over here to 2 Peter chapter 3. Come back over here to 2 Peter chapter 3, and you can see the contrast and the difference. 2 Peter chapter 3. I want you to come over here to verse 4. Matter of fact, we can make it verse 1 because that's how I'm feeling. 2 Peter 3 and 1. Listen to it. This second epistle, beloved, I write now unto you, in which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that you be mindful of the words which were spoken before of the Kadash prophets and of the commandment of the apostles of the Lord and Savior, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, where's the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as were from the beginning of creation. For this they willingly ignorant of, that by the word of Alahym the Shamahim were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, and whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water perished. But the heavens and earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and the perdition of ungodly men. What does this mean? Now let's go back and look at your law. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Let's look. Shalom, Mushroom. Genesis chapter 1. What do we want to? I'll start at verse 6, I suppose. Genesis 1 and 6. And Alahym said, let there be firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Alahym made the firmament and divided the waters, which under the firmament from the waters, which above the firmament, and it was so. And the Alahym called the firmament Shamahim, and the evening and the morning was the second day. Alahym said, let the waters under Shamahim be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry appear, and it was so. And Alahym called the dry Arats, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. Alahym saw it was good. We're establishing how this heaven and earth was created by a particular word. Now, let's come over here to Genesis chapter 6. These are things that Peter referenced. We just do this here so you can understand and know. When you see things, even though it's plain, you still want to go back, look in the law, see where it comes from, see why he said it. And this goes along because we were talking about that rainbow on Wednesday anyway. Genesis 6 and 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto him, to them, that the sons of Alahym saw the daughters of men, that they fair, and they took them wives, of which all they chose. Yahuwah said, my ruach shall not always strive with man, he that is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Why do you believe that Yahuwah said that his ruach will not always strive with man? Well, it's quite simple. He told you that the carnal mind is enmity against the law of Alahym, and is not subject to it, neither indeed can be. He said, even though I know that he is flesh. So it's always going to be contention with man and Alahym, because Alahym is ruach and man is flesh, and the flesh seeks to go against the word. Very plain. It's not hard to understand. The next part, what does he say? There were giants in the earth in those days. And after that, when the sons of Alahym came in unto the daughters of men, they bare to them the same mighty men, which of old, men of renown. Alahym saw that the wickedness of man great in the earth, and every imagination of the thought of his heart only evil continually. It repented Yahuwah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahuwah said, I will destroy man who I've created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the air, for repent me that I have made them. So, of course, you know, he destroyed the world by waters. But that same heaven and earth that was done in Genesis chapter 1 is the same heaven and earth that you live under and stand on. So you remember it. You know everything that happened in it. Now let's take a look at something in Jeremiah chapter 3. I ain't know the front of that tree sprouted. You seen that? The front of the tree sprouted. The front of the tree ain't never sprouted before. Yeah, it's a whole nother batch of dates on the front side of the tree. Jeremiah chapter 3, man. I'll pick it up at verse 12 on general principle. Go proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, you backsliding Yasharal, saith Yahuwah. I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith Yahuwah. I will not keep forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity that you have transgressed against Yahuwah your Alahym, and you have scattered your ways to strangers. Under every green tree, you have not obeyed my voice, saith Yahuwah. Turn, O backsliding son, saith Yahuwah, for I am married unto you. For I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. So always remember this here. Any shepherd or teacher that he give is going to be according to the mind of Yahuwah, not according to the mind of man, not according to the mind of people, or what you think it is. He going to do it. But the key thing is, you notice what he said, they would feed you with knowledge and understanding, the knowledge of God and the inside of God. This is how you know if a person who is actually a pastor after this man's own heart. And just so you can know what knowledge and understanding is. I hit the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Because it could be Debar, it could be Da. Here, knowledge is Daya, and that is the knowledge of Alahym. That means so you can know God now. That's the knowledge of God. Understanding here is Sakal. It's for you to be prudent, to be circumspect, to understand, to have insight, to have comprehension, and to have success. How you going to have success without insight and comprehension? It's going to be highly difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult. Who are we fooling here? You understand? Jeremiah 3:16. It shall come to pass when you be multiplied and increased in the land in those days, saith Yahuwah, that they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit, neither shall be done anymore. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahuwah. All the nations shall be gathered unto it to the name of Yahuwah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk anymore after the imagination of their evil heart. Now, of course, you should know from Ezekiel 48, but if you don't know, you finna know. Let's go take a look at it. Now remember, he said, right, when he made this new heaven and new earth, nothing under the old heaven and old earth will be remembered. You're not finna be in the New Jerusalem talking about what went down here. That's not happening. That's not happening. That's why when you hear people talking about, oh, they up in heaven having concerts, you're not doing none of that, man. No, this gonna be what it was intended to be in the garden, man, from the jump street. You're not remembering none of this stuff is gonna be discussed. You ain't gonna be talking about what's man. Abraham them ain't finna be talking about you what they went through in their life, man. Hold on, I mentioned Isaiah 24. If I didn't, I meant to. Come over here to Ezekiel 48. I'm gonna pick it up at verse 30 on general principles, so you can set the stage, so you can understand what's going on. And these, the goings out of the city on the north side, 4,500 measures. And the gates of the city after the names of the tribes of Yasharal, 3 gates northward, 1 gate Reuben, 1 gate Yehuda, 1 gate Levi. On the east side, 4,500 and 3 gates, 1 gate Joseph, 1 gate Benjamin, 1 gate Dan. And on the south side, 4,500 measures and 3 gates, 1 gate Simeon, 1 gate Issachar, 1 gate Zebulun. And on the west side, 4,500, there 3 gates, 1 gate Gad, 1 gate Asher, 1 gate Naphtali. Round about 18,000 in the name of the city from day Yahuwah there. That's what the name of the city gonna be, man. When you're dealing with New Jerusalem, the name of the city is Yahuwah is there. We can play games, we can say whatever we want to say, but that's what it means, man. That's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to agree with it. You think you're going to be dwelling in the sight of the Father, talking about the sins and the wickedness that went down in this world, man? You crazy as all outdoors, man. Do you understand that this heaven and earth right now has vengeance stored up against it? See, let me show you why I say that. Come over here to Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy 30 and 19. Matter of fact, Deuteronomy 30 and 15. Shoot, I'll make it 11 on general principle. For this commandment which I command you this day, it not hidden from you, neither it far off, it not in Shamahim, that you should say, who shall go up for us to Shamahim and bring it unto us that we may hear it and do it. Neither it beyond the sea, that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us that we may hear it and do it. But the word very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. And this is the word of faith in which we preach. See, I've set before you this day life and good and death and evil. And that I command you this day to love Yahuwah your Alahym, to walk in his ways and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply. And Yahuwah your Alahym shall baruch you in the land whither you go to possess it. But if your heart turn away so that you will not hear, but you shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish. You shall not prolong days upon the land whither you pass over Jordan to go possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this against you. I set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live. What you must understand is that heaven and earth is a witness against you, and it has a record of all the wickedness that has been done on the earth. It got a record, and it's going to bear witness, and it's going to testify against man. You think when this man bring a new heaven and a new earth and New Jerusalem down, that you're going to be talking about a heaven and earth, going to be talking about the sins and the misgivings and the iniquity of the people? You're smoking crack, man. This is what I meant on, if somebody just told you, oh, that means that the law ain't done away with that Matthew 5 and 18, you haven't been instructed properly. They gave you the easy way out. They gave you, I don't really know what this is really talking about. Let me give you the simplistic answer and send you on your way. But yet you're going to be lacking understanding. You're not going to understand why he said that and the underlying thing that had already been spoken of ahead of that on why he said it. You understand? Because Isaiah just told you when this new heaven and new earth come, the former heaven and earth won't be remembered. So that means everything done in it won't be remembered. And see, that's why he told you, you won't come to the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was symbolic of the throne of Yahuwah. What you going to the Ark of the Covenant for and Yahuwah sitting on the throne? That's stupid. You're not going to be doing that no more. What you doing that for? I meant to go somewhere else. Now I can't remember. Where I was before that, I don't remember. I just slid from Ezekiel 48. So, with that being said, we're talking about that former won't be remembered. What do I need to go to? Revelation 21 is fine. I mentioned something else. You were willing to come back to mine. But Revelation 21. Let's do that real quick, like 21:1. I saw a new Shamahim and a new Arats, for the first Shamahim and the first Arats were passed away, and there was no more sea. You've seen that from your law. What was done? You got to. We've talked about this before. We went through this before, and this is for people who don't understand and don't know. This heaven and earth where we would dwell in is a creation that was spoken by a word. The new heaven, the new earth, and the new Jerusalem is a second creation created by another word. So when individuals come to you and tell you, oh, new heaven and new earth ain't coming out of heaven, they are woefully misinformed because they don't understand the power and might of Yahuwah. He is recreating again. It is not going to be according to the creation of that word that was spoken in Genesis chapter 1. That's why he tell you that flesh and blood cannot inherit the Malkuth of Shamahim. It is a kingdom that is created by a different word than the word that created the first heaven and earth of which we presently dwell. That's what brothers is missing when they say, oh, no, that's not literal. You don't understand Yahuwah. That's why you would say that. The same way that first heaven and earth was created by a word, this second heaven and earth is going to be created by a word. The same way that Jerusalem was created by a word, meaning that dry land that was created by a word, this new Jerusalem is to an extent a dry land that's going to be created by a word. That's why he said that you'll be calling him by his new name, and that he'll call his servants by another name, because it is another creation by another word. And that's why it won't be remembered, because that word will have passed away with that heaven and earth that has passed away, because all things are new. That's why Paul told you, you are a new creature in the Mashiach. Old things are passed away. This is what people don't understand. You're going to be an eternal being dwelling with an eternal Alahym. That necessitates a different word according to a different promise. This heaven and earth wasn't created by a different word, by that same word or promise that the new one is. This is why you got to have a word. You hear people tell you, we don't need no more word. You need as much word as possible, because these niggas is trash out here. You don't even understand your God. You don't even understand what he promised you. You don't even understand what you got to go through to get what he promised you. Amen, Mother Sharon. You don't even understand. So now you're saying something out of your lack of understanding. This man is creating a new heaven, a new earth by a different word. It's not going to be the same. We just seen that, right? He flooded the earth. Let me finish this here and I go to Isaiah 21. And I saw a new Shamahim and a new Arats, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. See, that no more sea lets you know that this is a creation by a different word, because he created sea by word in Genesis chapter 1. And I, Yachanan, saw the Kadah city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Alahym out of Shamahim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. I heard a great voice out of Shamahim saying, behold, the tabernacle of Alahym with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Alahym himself shall be with them, their Alahym. That's what you're seeing in Ezekiel 48. See, this is what people don't understand. He told you in Isaiah 45, he made the earth to be inhabited. That's why he's making a new one, so that he can come dwell with you. So when somebody tell you New Jerusalem ain't real, they telling you God ain't coming to live with you, which means they telling you that he a liar, because he said he was. And he said on numerous occasions that I'm coming to live with you. That's his desire, to bring the third heaven on earth with man. And now, man, you can live with me because you're in a perfected state where you can dwell in my presence and not be destroyed. This is what he promised us, but ain't nobody talking about it. So you don't really hold fast to that promise. You looking for something according to the flesh. That's why he strives with you. That's why he has enmity with you. That's why he don't fool with you, because the carnal mind is enmity, is hatred against the law Alahym. You can't be subject to the Irma Alahym. Therefore, he can't make you alive. Since he can't make you alive, he's not going to be able to make you alive by the mishpat and the kased that he possessed. He's not going to be able to do it. Indeed, he's not going to be able to do it. Verse 4, Alahym shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Isaiah 25 tells you this. And we can read it if we need to. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for those words are true and faithful. He said unto me, it is done. I'm the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things. I will be his Alahym, and he shall be my son. But the fearful, unbelieving, the abominable, murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burn with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Now, with that being said, notice that he said, indeed, notice that he said, he make all things new. Now come on to Isaiah 25, because Isaiah 25 references this, of what he just said here. God just had a brief conversation with somebody talking about why God ain't just killed the devil. And that's what I be telling y'all when I'm talking about people lack understanding, because of people think that the destruction of the devil will rectify matters when the devil is a bit player. People don't understand the devil isn't the reason why there's chaos and evil in the earth. Man is. Satan ain't got nothing to do with that. Yeah, he tempt man, but in the end of the day, man do what's in his heart to do. People give Satan too much. So if they kill Satan, you still were going to die. Then somebody told me, you can't kill spirits, you got to put them in jail. And they reference in Revelation. I say, baby, you don't even know what that's talking about. Man, there be so many people out here, man, they don't know what they're talking about. That's dangerous to your soul. I just heard some brothers say, yeah, but we're destroying all the scholars on Clubhouse. I said, well, we in trouble. We in trouble, man. We in trouble, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because we worry about scholars. We don't need no scholars. You know what I'm saying? You need righteous men, son of Alahym, to preach the gospel. You need apostles, prophets, evangelists, and teachers. You know what I'm talking about? You don't need no scholars. Unless he a disciple. Unless he a Talmud. That's about the only scholar you need. Because if you're talking about a scholar after man's wisdom, all us going to hell. We don't stand a chance. You know what I'm talking about? We do not stand a chance. Isaiah 25, man. Verse 6, listen to it. And in this mountain shall the Yahuwah of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the leaves, a feast of fat things full of marrow of wines on the leaves, well refined. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the cover and cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. And he will swallow up death and victory. Yahuwah Alahym will wipe away tears from off all faces. The rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for Yahuwah have spoken. And it shall be in that day, lo, this, our Alahym, we have waited for him. He will save us. This Yahuwah, we have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. One thing for certain, two things for sure, man. And we went over this about a month or so back. Ain't no shame on waiting on Yahuwah. Ain't none. Book say, blessed is the man that wait on Yahuwah. That's what the word say. You know what I'm talking about? It's better to wait on Yahuwah than to do things yourself. Because that's what Saul did, and you see what happened to him. You know what I'm talking about? All you got to do is examine the text, man, and look at people who didn't wait on Yahuwah and went and pushed stuff themselves and see what happened to them. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't got to take my word for it. Search the scriptures and see for yourself if them things are so. I just mentioned Saul because he the first one to always come to mind. Because he was supposed to wait on Samuel and he didn't wait. And that was strike one, and who was on cutting him off. It's always best to wait on Yahuwah. When you go to press stuff on your own, I mean, Yahuwah ain't with you in what you're doing. That's what Moses did when he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. He went and did it on his own. You can't never be presumptuous and do stuff on your own. When you do stuff on your own, you're going to get to the point of what we're talking about. You're not a virtuous woman. No, you're not a virtuous woman at all, which means you're going to be a rottenness in your husband's bones. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it's going to be, because you're going to bring shame to him. You're going to bring shame to him. But a lot of people don't consider that. You know what I'm talking about? Because a lot of people don't care. A lot of us, you don't care about your husband. You care about you. That's not going to work. Not for him. And if you're a natural born man, it shouldn't work for you either. You know what I'm talking about? But it's definitely not going to work for you if you don't care about your husband. That man said a wise woman builds her husband's house. So when we get around here to this Proverbs 31, you're going to see exactly why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Because you're supposed to be building your husband's house if you're a wise woman. That's your job. That's what you were created for. You were created the Lord. The Lord wasn't created for you. You have to know and understand that. If you don't understand that, you ain't never going to be saved. You ain't here to do what you want to do. You ain't here to seek your own esteem, praise, and honor. That's not what you're here for. If your mind can't wrap that around, you won't be that wife sitting at that table. See, you ain't gonna be like what Jacob said, let me get my wife so I can make a feast. That's not gonna happen. He ain't gonna marry you, he ain't gonna fool with you. You know what I'm talking about? Let me tell you something, man. And it don't work like this here, right? Because you hear a lot of people in these days and times say men don't court women no more. How somebody gonna court you when you don't live with your dad? How that's gonna happen? Let's sit and take a look at it, right? And let's say that you know what I'm saying, Yahusha wanted to court you, but you've been out here living independent on your own, doing what you want to do, moving how you want to move. What is he going to court you for? The likelihood of you being pure is non-existent because he don't have to go through your father to get you. See, it's not to make you feel bad about yourself. It's to understand that you can't try to extrapolate on a person to hold a particular standard when you didn't live that way. And think now that I'm owed this and I'm due this because that's what I want. But you didn't live your whole life that way to require that. I mention that because now you find an Israelite and you feel like everything's supposed to go X, Y, Z for you. No, sir, no, ma'am. You ain't been living like that for you to demand these type of things that you demanded. You haven't even perfected yourself in the faith. You haven't lived in the beauty of Kadash for a good 15 minutes. And you making demands on somebody who had been doing that their entire life. You can't do that. You can't do that. Do you know historically, man, that woman's supposed to went from her father's house to her husband's house. No stops in between. No stops in between. And it wasn't never he stepped to her and then she introduced him to her daddy. That man had to go to her daddy and ask her daddy. You see Jacob go to bond. He ain't stop and say nothing to Rachel near time. Not once. That's not how that goes, man. That's not how that goes. See, Yahusha not going to court you. He finna step to you and, hey, man, let's make a deal. You know why? Because you're not a virgin. You've been an idolater. You've been a fornicator. You've been a liar. Some of us have been an adulterer. You got malice. You got envy. You've been living in the flesh your whole day. What are he courting you for? No, he finna sit down. Let's hammer out a deal. I got something for you that would be good for the state that you in. Just to help you get out the state that you in. Because I devised the means to bring my banished back to me so that I can give you a chaste virgin. Because in the state you in, I can't marry you. I'm a high priest. I can't marry a whore. See, we don't even sit back and think about that. That man can't marry you, man. That man can't marry you, man. Do you understand the love of your God? He came up with a plan to devise a means to marry you because his law said he couldn't do it. That's how serious it is. You broke his law in Shamahim to where he can't be your husband no more. So he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become a man, die, and resurrect from the dead so I can remarry you instead of getting rid of you and getting another wife. Because he could have went and got another wife. He would have been justified in doing so. He'd have been justified in doing so. All he had to do was to get somebody from the seed of Jacob. Meaning, he could have got rid of you and say, you know what? I'm just grab this Edomite over here and start with them. Or you know what? I'm going to kill all them and I'm going to save this one Israelite over here and I'm going to make a people out of them. Or you know what? Because this is him to keeping the word with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. See, this is the beauty of the covenant. Because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did the covenant, that's why he did what he did for the house of Yasharal, not because of anything with you. Because Jacob's sons broke it, so he was justified in getting rid of every last one of you. But Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't break it. So he's going to maintain his word to them because they didn't break his covenant once. Abraham didn't violate his covenant once. Jacob didn't violate his covenant once. Isaac didn't violate his covenant once. They didn't do it. But Jacob's seed did. See, we don't even sit back and consider that. You don't pay attention to that because you believe that you're entitled to something that you're not entitled to. You believe that you're entitled to the benefits of the Almighty without doing the works of Abraham. How do you expect to get the benefits of the Almighty and you ain't done the works of Abraham? You're not entitled to nothing. You know what I'm talking about? You want something, you got to do something. And it has to be, Abraham got what he got because he did something according to the will of his father, to the will of his husband. That's why Isaac got it. That's why Jacob got it. Your forefathers coming in the kingdom out of Egypt had nothing to do with them. It had something to do with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They didn't do nothing in Egypt to deserve to get that. They didn't do nothing. They didn't get that just because they were oppressed. They got that because he made a promise to somebody and he was going to fulfill that. That promise was an anchor to the men's souls. How you going to have an anchor to your soul and you ain't got the word, man? Let me get that Hebrews 6 that I'm talking about, man. Y'all know what an anchor is, don't you? Man, Hebrews 6, man. 6 and 13. For when Alahym made a promise to Abraham because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely, blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply you. And so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men truly swear by the greater an oath for confirmation to them that is the end of all strife. Wherein Alahym, willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of the promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath, that by two immutable things in which impossible for Alahym to lie, we have a strong consolation who fled for refuge to lay upon the hope set before us, which we have as an anchor of the soul, but sure and steadfast, and which enter into within the veil. That boy late on the job. Let's go over here to Isaiah 24. And nigga left his old lady though. Look at Isaiah 24 and why the heaven and earth can't be remembered. Isaiah chapter 24, man, verse 3. The land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled. Yahuwah has spoken this word. The earth mourn, fade away. The world languish and fade away. The hardy people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. That's all you need to know why he got to make a new one. This one's defiled. The Father can't dwell in nothing like this, man. Now, why is this important in the aspect of we saying that when heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle from the law won't pass to all be fulfilled? Know that when heaven and earth pass, everything been fulfilled. The mystery of Alahym is complete when heaven and earth pass. That's the first thing you need to know. And if that's been done and you just seen that nothing defiled will dwell there, and all the former things won't be remembered and sin will be extinguished, let's come over here to Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 3. I got you, man. Give yourself a second. Like it just, she would look like that lady tried to get you over there. She tried to get you. That nigga be cleaning a piece of the house, and them old ladies be trying to hit on him. They be wanting them to come in there and put on the suit jacket with no shirt. And the maid's apron. Just the apron. As I besought you to abide still at Ephesians when I went to Macedonia, that you might charge some that they teach no other doctrine. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. Now the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart and a good conscience and a faith unfeigned, from which some have swerved, having turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. Understand this here. Give me Ecclesiastes, man, 7:27. Now, I want y'all to focus on that part. He say, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. Ecclesiastes 7:27. What it say, man?
Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seek, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. Lo, this only have I found, that Alahym have made man upright.
He made man what?
Upright.
He made man what?
Upright.
What did man do?
But they have sought out many inventions.
Now tell them what upright means. Is it Yashar? What does that mean? Tell them what
Just
it means.
Straight, upright, correct, right, straight, level, right.
He made man, that means he made man righteous. So if he made man righteous, so when you go back to Genesis and you see him telling them, do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it wasn't for him because he wasn't a sinner. Now you have to ask yourself this question. What sin did Adam commit? I ain't talking about when he ate from the tree. I'm talking about before they ate from the tree. What would Adam need the law for? Can anybody answer that question? Why would Adam need the law if he was perfect from his creation? What would he need it for? He wouldn't need it because he's not a sinner. What is sin? That's transgression of the law. Where he say, where there is no law, there is no what? No sin. So if he ain't had no sin, what he needed a law for? He hadn't done no sin. He was only given one instruction. Don't eat the law. Don't do that. See that tree of faith over there? You can live forever if you eat that. Go eat that. You know, here in 2023, people still got the nerve to talk about Adam, and you do what Adam do every day. You can eat from the tree of life, but you steady want to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil because it's one that's going to make you wise. That's what you worry about. Because what is wisdom? It's skill, right? The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, right? So if you wisdom, if you got wisdom, that means you know what? Right from wrong then, don't you? So that's how you know that's the law, man. Use your brain. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff is not far out concepts. That's why you say death and life is in the power of the tongue, and that you enjoy the fruits thereof and which one that you choose to participate in. Now, verse 9, one more time. Knowing that the law is not made for the righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for ungodly, for sinners, for unkadash and profane, for murderers of fathers, murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. That's who it's for. That's what the law is for. The law is for people. Where's the lawlessness with Adam? Where was his ungodliness? Where was he a murderer? Where was he a manslayer? Where did he like booty hole? Where was he a whoremonger at? Where was he stealing at? Where was he lying at? And what you think gonna be happening when there's a new heaven and new earth? Ain't gonna be no sin there. The tree of life is the only thing that's gonna be there, because everybody who's gonna be there, Acts 26 and 19, everybody who's gonna be there is gonna be sanctified by faith. They're not gonna need the law because they're righteous men. You should know from 1 John 3. Matter of fact, before you read that, 1 John chapter 3, verse 3.
And every man that hath this hope in him purify himself, even as he is pure. Whosoever commits sin transgress also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins.
He was manifested to do what?
Take away our sins.
And what else?
In him is no sin.
In him is no what?
No sin.
It's no what?
No sin.
Okay.
Whosoever abide in him sin not.
Whosoever do what?
Abide in him, sin not.
Whosoever abide in him, what?
Sin not.
So that means if you dwell in the Son and the Son dwell in you, you don't commit sin. Therefore, the law is not for you. Why? Because the word in you. Go ahead.
Whosoever sinned have not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that do righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous.
He said, if you do that which is righteousness, you righteous as Yahusha is righteous. So stop letting people tell you ain't righteous. I heard a dude say he want to teach the word, but he don't know, but he ain't no holy man. Then how you going to teach it? That don't even make common sense. And people be like, you know what? I can learn from that brother. Learn how to be a jackass. So you supposed to know that that's a red flag that God ain't with him. How you going to preach a sanctified word and you ain't sanctified yourself? Paul, John 17:17. Listen to what the Lord said.
Sanctify them through your truth.
Sanctify them through your what?
Through your truth.
Through your what?
Through your truth.
That man say set them apart through faithfulness. Set them apart through steadfastness. Set them apart through fidelity. Read it again.
Sanctify them through your truth.
Say it like you mean it. I know you're tired.
Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth.
He said your word is faithful. Your Irma, your Debar, your Torah is faithful. Whichever word you want to use. Your Dayah is faithful. Your Dah is faithful. All of those are the Hebrew word for word, man. Any one of them. He says faithful. Remember, he said, quicken me according to your word or your Irma. And that's Psalms 119, 154. Come on with it, man.
Keep reading John 17.
Keep going.
As you have sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth.
That man said he set himself apart through the faith so that we might be set apart through faith. What are we talking about here, man? This is what he wanted Adam to do in the garden from the jump street. He didn't want Adam to sanctify himself through the law. Adam didn't need the law. He wasn't a sinner. He wanted him to sanctify himself through faith. That's what's going to happen in New Jerusalem, man. That man told you, get Isaiah 51:3 for people who think it's a game.
For Yahuwah shall comfort Zion, he will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden.
He will make her wilderness like what?
Like Eden.
Like what?
Like Eden.
Like what?
Like Eden.
Hold on. Like who?
Like Eden.
Go ahead.
In her desert, like the garden of Yahuwah.
Like the garden of who?
Of Yahuwah.
Now go over here to Revelation 2, man, and listen to verse 7. Let me see what that say. I don't know if it's verse 7. Tell me what verse 5 say. I might want verse 5. Revelation 2 and 5. Tell me what that says. Remember
therefore from whence you are fallen, and repent and do the first works, or else I'll come quickly unto you and will remove your candlestick out of his place, except you repent. But this you have, that you hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach say unto the assemblies.
What it says.
To him that overcome will I give to eat of the tree of life.
That's where?
Which is in the midst of the paradise of Alahym.
And what did he just say the paradise of Alahym going to be? In Jerusalem. He was going to make Jerusalem like the Garden of Eden. The tree of life is not in regular Jerusalem. That means that's coming down from heaven with him. He said that's for the healing of the nations, man. Didn't it tell you that a wholesome tongue is as a tree of life? That man said the words of the gospel is just like the tree of life, because the tree of life is for the healing of the nations. What's going to heal the people? It's the word of faith. The law can't heal them. I hate to be the one to tell you that if you thought different. Because it's not. The law don't heal you, man. It's the man word of faith that heal you. I know we don't like to hear that. That's that Christian stuff. I don't know what that means, bro. You think we supposed to be offended by that? Like, I don't call myself a Christian. If you was to come call me a Christian just based off of, you're just a follower of Christ. Shalom, Sister Kelly. I don't really rock that. But if we preaching the word and saying what the word said and you call me a Christian, bro, I'm not offended by that. You thought I'm supposed to be upset? Nigga, I don't care. I ain't never been in no church, so we don't affiliate with them people, man. You ain't hurt my feelings with that. You should hurt your feelings that you don't know what the hell you talking about. That's what you should be hurt by. That you lack understanding and you selling that bad dope on the street. How many of y'all, when y'all smoked some reefer, boy, you thought you were getting a nice, good bag, and that boy sold you some backyard boogie, some Bobby Brown? You know what I'm talking about? Some homegrown. This junk was trash. You trying to act like you how to convince yourself that you ain't bought no bag of trash? That's what these boys out here selling, man. I ain't gonna mention no hard drugs. I hope y'all ain't never been on no hard drugs. I ain't never used no hard drugs personally. Shalom, Sister Rose. Bad word make it hard for you to perform. It's like having a bad trainer. You know what I'm saying? If you having a bad strength and conditioning coach, you know what I'm talking about? You're not going to be able to perform. Not at optimal levels. You can't perform with that trash can junk these people giving you, man. Ain't no way. That's like having a bad diet, man. You expect your body to operate at a high level and you eat zoom zooms and wham whams every day? You don't drink no water. You don't eat no fruit. You don't consume no vegetables. You don't do none of that. You don't want nothing but cookies and cakes and McDonald's burgers. You know how much you got to hate yourself to eat McDonald's on a regular basis, man. You telling your body, I don't care about you. I know some people, that's the same if you eat meat. Man, I don't want to hear that junk, my nigga. How you even know if it's real meat? I don't know if it is, and it ain't my business to try to find it out. I told you that the other day. If you want to research everything, man, that's your business. But you drive yourself crazy in the name of, I want to be sanctified. You ain't sanctified yourself in faith, man. If you don't know, you don't know. You think Samson went on a quest when that man came and brought him that honey, man? You gonna drive yourself crazy with that stuff, man. What if they gave us synthetic meat? How would you know? Unless you want to grow it yourself. And most of y'all ain't got the work ethic to raise no farm animals and slaughter them and kill them and put it on the table, man. A lot of stuff needs saying you ain't got the work ethic or the drive to do it because you ain't got the work ethic and the drive to do regular stuff now. They don't want to get no cows and kill it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, man. A lot of stuff, man, when it come down to the farming, there's a lot of stuff. That's what the ladies did. They may have not chopped up the animal. A lot of them drugged them animals out and killed them. You know what I'm talking about? Because the man might be doing something else. He just went, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's too nasty. No, she finna gut him. Yeah, she finna gut him. Because guess what? He over here doing this here. You can't put that stuff on that man back and expect him to do that there, man. That's impossible. That's impossible. You can only go so far alone. You know what I'm talking about? There ain't no way. So you want this man to till the whole harvest, come back, slaughter the animal. This man gonna have no energy to do nothing. That's why some of them came around here, and that's why some of these niggas was snapping and beating on their family. Man, them niggas were frustrated. You say, bro, say her grandma did. You know, that's what they did, man. Hey, man, I'm gonna take care of that. I'll wring the chicken neck, cut him up, defeather him, bring him in here, man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, she gonna help him out. I take care of that. Don't worry about that. But yeah, man, you go to worrying about that, man. If you ain't finna raise your own animals, man, don't even drive yourself crazy with that, because that's all you're gonna be doing. Because in reality, you're gonna drive yourself crazy with vegetables too. Because if you ain't growing, you don't know if them vegetables are real either. You worry about all the food you putting in your mouth. You ain't worried about that word you eating, though. You'll sit down at anybody's table and eat that. Don't scrutinize that at all. You read all them damn labels about all these damn food. Boy, you don't read the label behind that trash word them boys selling you nothing. That's good in Revelation 2, man. Where you was at for that? I need to get to Proverbs 31 in a minute.
You should go to Isaiah 51.
Yeah, we're good. I was one here to quit it, man.
1 John 3.
Yeah, that's good too. I don't need no more from that neither. Come on back to Isaiah 5 and 18. I didn't want y'all to see what Isaiah 5 and 18 mean. Well, read Isaiah 65 and 17 one more time. We don't even need to read Isaiah 66 and 22. Ain't even no need. It's not even necessary.
For behold, I create new Shamahim and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind.
Now go to Revelation 21 and 27. Listen what it said, man. 24, I'm sorry. Revelation 21 and 24.
And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their esteem and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the esteem and honor of the nations into it.
Now, Paul, y'all know this is the new heaven and new earth. You know why there's no night there? Because Alahym is light and no part darkness, because Yahuwah is there. Go ahead.
And it shall in no wise enter into it anything that defiles.
Nothing that what?
Defiles.
Nothing that what?
Defiles.
And what else?
Neither work abomination.
No, guess what? Guess what's an abomination? All unrighteousness. We ain't got to go no further. Go ahead.
Or a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
So the Lamb's book of life is opened up after, well, a tad bit before the new heaven and new earth, when the judgment seat is open. Remember, right? Yahusha ruled for a day. Satan get bind up for a day. He get loosed out his pit to deceive Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38, and then he smash him. And then Satan get thrown into the lake. And then the books are open. And death and hell give up those that's in them. And the sea give up those that are in them. You know why it ain't no seas in the new heaven and new earth? You don't have no need of water. You got living water. What you need seas for? God with you. You're going to literally dwell in the tabernacle that Yahusha is presently in, making intercession on your behalf. And you got people out here overthrowing people's faith, telling us that Yahuwah not going to come do that. That the Father is not going to come do that. That they're not going to come dwell with us. Do you understand the significance of that? How are you going to be able to look this man in his eyes and live and there be no more curse and the tree of life would be in the midst of the city for the healing of the nations if he not finna come live with you? You're not going to live with him. He coming to live with you. But the difference is he bringing his house with him. This is only reserved for those who have been sanctified by faith. I asked you for Acts 26 and 18. That's what it was. Acts 26 and 18. Go ahead.
To open their eyes, to turn from darkness to light and the power of Shaitan unto Alahym, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith.
That is in what?
In me.
You can't receive that inheritance if you're not sanctified by the faith that's in him, like you just seen in John 17. You're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This is all about preaching the kingdom of Alahym and the things that concern Yahusha HaMashiach. Yeah, man. There's no way. I was telling brother the other day, man, people act like you got to, dude had asked me years ago, you got to preach Yahusha in every lesson. I'm like, you don't have to. But in reality, you're going to. Because if you're preaching Yahusha, you're preaching Yahuwah, and Yahuwah and Yahusha is one and the same. That's like saying, do we got to preach Yahuwah in every lesson? Of course. People don't even realize that. You're preaching God when you preach Yahusha, man. When you preach Yahusha, you preaching Genesis to Malachi, bro. We're supposed to have enough understanding to know that. But see, you think it's a Christian thing. You know what I'm talking about? No, buddy. You're preaching Yahuwah when you do that. You're preaching your maker. You're preaching your creator. What else I had yet, man?
That was it.
Let's go ahead to Proverbs 31, man, or what we going to discuss out this word, man. You know what I'm talking about? Straight here, verse 10, Proverbs 31. Listen to it.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
Pause. A virtuous woman is a Kayil woman. This is a strong woman. What makes her strong? Isaiah 26 and 3. This is what makes her strong. Well then.
You will keep in perfect shalom, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you.
Because he what?
Trust in you.
Trust in who?
Yahuwah forever.
Why?
For trusting Yahuwah's everlasting strength.
It's ever what?
Everlasting strength.
It's what?
For his everlasting strength.
Okay, now come back to verse 10 of Proverbs 31. Listen to it.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
For her what?
Her price.
Tell her what price mean.
That's makar, her merchandise, her value, her price.
Her value is above what?
Rubies.
Now, what did we just read on Wednesday? What is above rubies? Wisdom is. So what is wisdom? That's skill in war. So a virtuous woman has a level of skill. She knows right from wrong. Give me 1 Samuel 25 and 1. I'll show you an example of a virtuous woman, if you would. 1 Samuel 25 and 1.
And Samuel died, and the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. And a man in Maon, whose possessions in Carmel, and the man very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was sharing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man, Nabal, and the name of his wife, Abigail.
Name of his wife was who?
Abigail.
What about Abigail?
And a woman of good understanding.
She was a woman of good what?
Understanding.
She was a woman of good what?
Understanding.
Tell them what understanding is in this passage, man.
That's Sekel. Prudence, insight, understanding.
She had prudence. She had insight. She got understanding. Let's show you how this is a wise woman, if you were. And we'll also look at the elements of something at the back end of Proverbs 31 that she possessed. I need you to drop down to verse 23 of this very same chapter. 1 Samuel 25 and 23.
And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off.
Matter of fact, back it up to 21 so you can see what David said out his mouth.
Now David has said, surely in vain have I kept all this, having the wilderness, so that nothing missed of all that pertained unto him. And he have requited me evil for good.
So,
and more also do Alahym unto the enemies of David.
If I leave
all that to him by the morning light, any that piss against the wall.
He was going to kill every man there. Young or old, they was all dying. Listen to it.
And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground.
And she fell at his feet
and said, upon me, my master, me iniquity, and let that you
pause. Now look at this here, right? Because remember, everything is a testimony of the Lord. Abigail turns around and says, let the sin of the foolish be on me. Because Nabal name mean fool. Listen to what it said. And at his feet, upon me, my Lord, me, iniquity. The reproaches of them that reproach you, she said, let that fall on me. See, we'll look at certain stuff. I'm telling you, man, the gospel is there. Well, that's a woman. So what? Rebecca said the same thing, Goofy. You know what I'm talking about? She said, I'll carry that sin for you. Don't worry about that. But you're supposed to pay attention that this woman said, I'll take on the reproach of the fool. I will carry the punishment. Let the punishment of the fools be on me. So when you see that in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, or when you read in Proverbs, it says stripes are made for a fool's back, and we are fools for HaMashiach's sake. He performed the role that Abigail was willing to perform. Continue.
Fell at his feet and said, upon me, my master, me iniquity, and let your handmaid, I pray you, speak in your audience and hear the words of your handmaid.
Now she's also playing the role of Yahusha in the inner sanctum, and David is playing the role of the Father by being an intercessor on your behalf. Tell them what audience means, man. What is she being an intercessor? To intercede for your sins. Or like I say in 1 John 2 and 1, if any sin, let it be, you have an advocate. Go ahead.
That's Ozenes ear as part of the body. That is an audience, a displeased ear hearing a show.
Let's go to verse 25.
Let not my master, I pray you, regard this man of Belial.
Nabal.
For as his name,
so is he.
Nabal his name
folly
with him.
But I,
your handmaid, saw not the young men of my master whom you did sin.
Now therefore,
my master, Yahuwah lived.
Now listen to what she said. She's swearing to God right now. She says, Yahuwah lived, and as your what?
Soul lives.
See?
Yahuwah have withholding you from coming to blood.
To shed blood. You know what I'm talking about?
And from avenging yourself with your own hand.
See, that's what your law say. He tell you don't avenge yourselves. Vengeance is of Yahuwah.
Now
hold on. See, this is how you can see that the law kind of, or wisdom is on her tongue. Because see, she got skill. See, a lot of individuals are focused on law keeping. She's showing forth that she know God by what she telling him. To be merciful and to let Yahuwah render vengeance on your behalf. That you don't have to do that. Go ahead.
And now let your enemies and they that seek evil to my master be as Nabal.
Say, let your enemy be a fool. Let your enemies be a fool. Go ahead.
And now this blessing which your handmaid have brought unto my master, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my master. I pray you, forgive the trespass of your handmaid.
Forgive the who?
Trespass of your handmaid.
Forgive the who?
Trespass of your handmaid.
Okay.
For Yahuwah will certainly make my master a sure house.
A sure what?
A sure house.
Tell him what sure mean, man.
That's all mine. To support, to confirm, to be faithful.
A faithful house. What does that sound like to you? Come over here to 1 Samuel, I believe. 1 Samuel chapter 2. Is what I want. Yeah, man, that's what I want. I want 1 Samuel chapter 2, man. I want verse 35. Listen what he say. Matter of fact, before I do that, give me verse 32. Oh no, verse 30. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 30. Listen to it.
Wherefore Yahuwah Alahym and Yasharal say, I said indeed, your house and the house of your father
should walk before me what?
Forever.
Remember, he talking to Eli about what Eli's sons was around there doing, man. Remember, Eli's sons was knocking down women at the door of the tabernacle, man. Eli's sons despised the sacrifice of Yahuwah. Go ahead.
I said, indeed, your house and the house of your father shall walk before me forever.
Now saith Yahuwah,
be it far from me, for them that honor me,
I will what?
Honor.
Them that honor me, he will what?
Honor.
And those that despise me
shall be lightly esteemed.
Boy, if you despise God, that man don't fool with you, boy. That man say, I will lightly honor you, boy. I don't fool with you. Go ahead, man.
Behold, the days come that I will cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house.
And there shall not be a what?
An old man in your house.
And you shall see an enemy where?
Habitation.
And all
which Alahym shall give you.
Shall not be an old man
in your house forever.
And a man of yours
I shall not cut off from my altar.
To consume
your eyes and to grieve your heart.
And all the increase of your house shall die.
In the flower of their age.
And he said they're going to die young. Go ahead, man. And this.
A sign unto you.
There shall come upon your two sons.
On Hophni and Phinehas.
And one day they shall die.
Both of them.
And I will raise up to me a what?
Faithful priest.
A faithful who?
Priest.
A faithful who?
Priest.
And he shall do according to what?
Which is in my heart.
Ain't that what we seen in Jeremiah 3 and 15? He gonna give you pastors according to his heart. Continue.
And in my mind.
And I will build him what?
A sure house.
Ain't that what she just said to David? This faithful priest gonna build a faithful bot for him. A house that is supported and confirmed by the word, man. Continue.
And he shall walk before my anointed forever.
So come on back to 1 Samuel 25. And read verse 28 again. See, this is the actual element of what a Kayil woman is, a virtuous woman is. You're not a virtuous woman because you cook breakfast. The level of faith that she possessed to plead on her husband's behalf when her husband was guilty of death shows forth the wisdom and the kindness that was in this woman. You understand me? This is what's supposed to be in the virtuous woman that does not have a vagina. Naturally, if you understand what I'm talking about. But if you don't, we'll go further with it. Go ahead.
I pray you forgive the trespass of your handmaid, for Yahuwah will certainly make my master a sure house.
Because my master do what?
Fight the battles of Yahuwah.
He fight the who?
Battles of Yahuwah.
He fight the who?
The battles of Yahuwah.
And evil ain't been found when you where?
In all your days.
See, Yahusha the one who fight the battles of the Father, man. You don't fight him. Yahusha gonna fight the beast. Fight these people. We didn't talk about this before. Yasharal ain't never down no world government or nobody at any time. You didn't take down Egypt. You ain't lift up a weapon. You ain't lift up a rock. You didn't lift up nothing. Absolutely nothing. That man told you stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah. That's what Moses told you to do. And you watched your enemies get destroyed and you ain't lift up a finger. You think he ain't gonna do the same thing at the end? You ain't got to do nothing. Just stand still and watch the power of your God and humble yourself before his feet and worship and praise his mighty and Kadah's name. You ain't got to do nothing. He don't need you to do nothing. God told you it's not about you, man. This man got to make sure his power known and his name be re-sanctified in the earth because we got this man name ugly in the street. Man, the worst thing a woman can do is make her husband look bad. Any woman who comfortable with making her husband look bad, you don't love that man. You know what I'm talking about? You don't care about that man. You don't fool with that man. And you ain't worthy to be called by that man's name because you're not a wife. And that's what Yasharal did the entire time we were in the land because he said the name of Alahym was blasphemed amongst the Gentiles through you because you didn't care about your husband. You didn't love your husband. You weren't committed to your husband. In reality, you despised your husband. And that's why he said you will not be called the people. He would not allow you to be called by his name. He would not allow you to dishonor his name by claiming it. He wouldn't allow you to do it. That's why they say that in Hosea. You ain't finna walk around here talking about you, Israel, and you got my name out here bad in the street. You're not worthy to be called by my name because you're not understanding the type of man that you married to. You took it for light. You took it for nothing. No, you're not finna have me looking crazy out here. See, the difference between Yahuwah and natural men is he got rid of you for making him look crazy out here. See, you hear the stuff online with women talking about he got me out here looking stupid. That man ain't got you looking nothing. You got yourself looking stupid. because you chose a low caliber man. But it's different when you got a man of strength, a man of valor, a man of honor, a man of esteem, and you choose to go ahead and make his name look bad. Because that's who you were married to. You were married to the Almighty. And you decided, I don't love my husband. I don't care about my husband. I don't care how I make him look. I don't care how his name will be defamed in the mouth of all his enemies, because I only care about me and my desires. That's not a virtuous woman. That's why you say a shameful woman is a rottenness in his bones. That's why the man was angry. Go ahead.
Yet a man is risen to pursue you and to seek your soul, but the soul of my master shall be bound in a bundle of life for Yahuwah.
Hold on, listen what it said. But the soul of my master be bound what?
In the bundle of life.
In the bundle of who?
Of life.
With who?
Yahuwah.
Tell them what bundle mean, man. You can give him life on the strength.
Bundle is siror. That's a bundle, a parcel, a pouch, a bag, a pebble, a bundle.
A bag, a who?
Say a pouch, a parcel, got pebble, a bundle, a least grain, a small stone.
Ain't that something that it's a small stone? What's David's most known for that people love to talk about? What did he have on him when he ran up on Goliath? Somebody put in the chat, man. Either platform, man. What David had in that bag, man? What David known for having in that bag, man? What he known for having in that bag, man? Small, smooth stone. That's what Nisha said. She ain't told no stories. Jay said it too. He known for having smooth stones in a what? In a shepherd's bag, in a bundle. She just said that this man would be a bundle of life with Alahym. A bundle of life. Think about that for a moment. He'd be a bag, a pebble, a stone. What them stones was used for? See, we don't even pay attention to look at David taking down Goliath through his faith in his maker. It's the same as Yahusha taking down the beast, man. Because everybody in the land, don't the book say who gonna make war with the beast? Ain't that what it say? Wasn't everybody in Yasharal scared of Goliath? Ain't nobody want to fight. Saul ain't want to fight the man. Saul ain't want to fight the man. And the least esteemed in his father's house, the youngest in his father's house, David came through and said, man, I'll fight this nigga. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine defying the name of Yahuwah and the armies of Yasharal? Did punk bastard gonna die today? It wasn't no law that had him do that, man. What he told him, thou shalt not eat pork. That's what you think he took him down through? I keep Sabbaths. I'll surely take him down. Man, his faith was in Yahuwah, man. Took that nigga straight down. He was trying to show you what was going to happen in the end. That a man through his bloodline would take down the man who was oppressing Yasharal in the end, and all you would stand still and see. You see how we look at the text, man, and you pay attention, you don't even see that? That man a bundle of life with Yahuwah, man. He that smooth stone to take down the beast, to take down your oppressor. He the one gonna do it. You can't do it. You ain't got the power to do it. How you gonna get, look here, man. You need power from God to do anything. How you gonna get power from God and you don't believe in God? How you gonna get power from God and you don't trust in God? How you gonna get power from God and you ain't gonna wait on God? Boy, Abraham waited on you. It was strife in his household because he didn't wait. That's how Ishmael got here. I'm telling you, man, you can look at the text every time. It ain't nothing positive happened to nobody who didn't wait on Yahuwah when Yahuwah gave them a word. Wait on him. That man say, though the word tarry, wait for it. That's what the book say. Don't be like Saul now. Saul didn't want to wait. Saul had them boy around there eating meat with blood in it, man. Didn't wait. You got to wait on the Lord, boy. You got to wait on him, man. You got to understand one of the fruits of the Ruach is faith, man. And he say patience, work experience, and experience hope. And hope, make not ashamed. See, it's a lot of stuff, man. People don't really believe the word, bro. You know what I'm talking about? When I say believe the word, I ain't talking about like, oh, I know Yahuwah. I'm talking about, boy, you trust in this man that you'll patiently wait for the fulfillment of his word. even if you don't even see the conclusion of that matter, because we just read this last week. Boy, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't see the promise. They didn't dwell in the land of promises free. They dwelt there as strangers. That promise wasn't fulfilled to them in their lifetime. That didn't stop them from waiting on it and being persuaded and embrace it. See, we got in our mind is, I'm going to make the promise come to pass. You going to hell. How you going to make God fulfill his word before he ready to fulfill it? That means you don't believe him. Because now you're taking it in your own hands as if you have that kind of power. That's blasphemous, my G. To keep it a buck with you. You know what I'm saying? I just seen a goofy nigga today. Ain't no Sky Daddy. I hate niggas who say Sky Daddy. I can't wait for him to chop your whole head off, you punk. I'm talking about faithless bastard. I'm talking about, I hope he knock all the teeth out your mouth. I hope he take your head from your shoulders. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I hope one of you brothers, for the niggas who talk like that he finds you worthy enough to judge them with the high praises of Alahym in your mouth and a two-edged sword in your hand. You know what I'm talking about? Because they deserve to die. And I mean that. And I don't care who don't like what I just said. Anybody who speak like that about Yahuwah, they deserve to die. They deserve to die a gruesome death. You know what I'm talking about? They deserve to die the death of the faithless. Because that's what we just read. Ain't nobody in the faith, the fearful and the unbelieving is not entering into New Jerusalem. Nah, bro, that type of stuff, bro, that type of stuff grate my soul, bro. I don't stamp that junk. That junk ain't cool. You want to disrespect our Father in heaven and our Redeemer, calling him a Sky Daddy and all that other stuff, man, you scoffing, bro. You a mocker. You know what I mean? We can open this book up right to you and show you that. You're lying to me. If you sit back and that stuff don't boil your soul, boy, because at the end of the day, boy, you can't say that's your father and you cool with somebody talking about your daddy like that and disrespecting your father like that. You cool with that? You say Yahusha, your king. You cool with somebody disrespecting your ruler like that? Because you better remember, when Shimei came up talking crazy, them boys was ready to knock that boy head right in the dirt. Boy, they were ready to put a dig in the dirt. I'm talking about right then and there on the spot. Hey, man, let me go ahead and kill him, bro, for talking to you like that. If you ain't even got that type of thought, man, you ain't really down with that man like that. Them boys ain't even hesitate. Well, you're not going to talk about my king like that, bro. Look, please let me kill him. They would say, no. Let him talk, man. Let him talk. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean we looking to go get no fire and take nobody out, because we know the Lord bidded him to talk like that so he can be damned. Let him talk. Let that wicked nigga talk. But just know, boy, you reserving doggone judgment up against your head, boy. And you gonna die, and you ought to, because you ain't got no respect. You can't blaspheme the tabernacle of heaven and think you're gonna live to talk about it. You know what I'm talking about? When I'm talking about live to talk about it, I'm talking about live forever. You ain't gonna live to talk about that, my G. That man told you, boy, every idle word that come out your mouth, boy, you gonna give account for it. You punk bastard, you. Come on with it. Listen, verse 29 again, man.
Say, yet a man is risen to pursue you and to seek your soul, but the soul of my master shall be bound in a bundle of life with Yahuwah your Alahym, and the souls of your enemies, them shall he sling out.
Notice that he said that the smooth stones is representative of his enemies who he gonna throw out. Go ahead.
Of the middle of a sling.
In the middle of a who?
Of a sling.
That's what David did. That's what them stones show. Get them rid of the enemies. Take them out. Come on now.
And it shall come to pass when you shall have done to my master according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you,
and shall have
appointed you ruler over Yasharal,
that there shall be no
grief unto you,
nor offense
of heart unto my master,
either
that you have shed blood causeless,
or that my Lord
have avenged himself.
When Yahuwah shall have dealt well
with my master,
then remember
your handmaid.
That's good right there, man. See, notice in reality, she correcting this man, but notice how she did it. Through faithfulness to God, not to point out and say you wrong, and to appeal to him through love and kindness to say you better than this. You a greater man than allow a goofball to bring you down to his level. You know what I'm talking about? Because sometimes as a man, you need to understand when certain situations and circumstances and people are beneath you. See, I know some people look at it and think that's pride or arrogance, but you'd have to understand and know, just like what Nehemiah said, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down here to you. You're going to have to come up here to me, because what you talking about and what you own, that is beneath me. I will not lower myself down to participate in such activities. I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm talking about? That's why he say, don't make yourself no friend with no angry man. Don't walk around and do this, that, and the third. You would need to know that certain things, that is beneath me. If this is how this person want to conduct themselves, that is beneath me, because you looking at elevation. You know what I'm talking about? They around here dwelling in stagnation. You're going to have to leave them behind. That's just a way of life, man. You know what I'm saying? If you constantly seeking to get better and improve yourself, people going to get left behind, because some people don't want to be better. And then the fact you're improving yourself, your improvement will offend them, because it's a reminder of the lack of work done on their behalf, and it agitates their soul. And that's where you get the enmity between the woman's seed and the serpent seed, and the abomination to the just to the unjust, and vice versa. Because the just look at it and say, your deeds make me angry, not just for the fact of making me angry, but because you hate my maker. The unjust look at the deeds of the just, and they begin to become envy and jealous, because that just man has done the work that the unjust man just don't want to do, but yet wants the benefits and credit from the work that he has not done. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what most people in this world problem is. You want something for nothing. You want to be rewarded for the most minimal work possible. You want to be esteemed for doing nothing. You believe you're great simply because you breathe. This is the danger of focusing on telling us that we Israel, man, because then you begin to boast in your flesh and think that you should get X, Y, Z simply off of the fact of whose DNA you carry, when that means absolutely nothing if you're not willing to do the works of Abraham. That man said he able to raise up sons under Abraham from these stones. He don't need you to do that. He don't need you to build no people. He don't need you for that. He can do that on his own. He said he that's wise win souls, man. Where your wisdom at? You dig? Let's come back to Proverbs 31. We are in verse 10. Read it again.
Who can find a virtuous woman for a price far above rubies? Mm-hmm. The heart of her husband do safely trust in her, so they shall have no need of spoil.
She was doing what?
Good and not evil all the days of her life.
She seek what?
Wool and flax.
And she worked what?
Willingly with her
hand. So of course you know that willingly she take pleasure in doing it. She's like a what?
Like the merchant ships.
She bring her food from where?
Afar.
See, that's what Yahusha did. You can take it back to that. Go ahead to Genesis 49, man. Give me verse 15. Tell me what verse 15 says.
And he saw the rest good in the land.
Well, give me 16. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Dan shall judge his people.
I know it's Zebulon that I will not believe, but I could be mistaken. Let me look and see. Yeah, I ain't got you nowhere near what you need. It is Zebulon that we want. It's verse 13.
Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea.
He shall
be a haven of ships.
And his border
unto Zidon.
Tell him what haven means, man.
That's cove. That's a seashore, coast, a shore, a haven. That's a sheltered bay.
A sheltered bay. Now, Zebulon means what, everybody? Does anybody know what Zebulon means? Who can tell me what Zebulon means? I think I've already said it in the course of this evening, but it's okay. I want to see if anybody was paying attention to that. Tell them what ships is in that particular passage.
That's Onia. That's a ship. Men of ships. The seamen.
That made me think about that doggone.
That's why I want to say it.
That skit. He talking about. I like water. Water. So Lil Johnny's got it accurate. That's dwell. But that word one for seamen, men of ships. Why is that word relevant to us if you could go back in your memory of what we discussed that word before? Does anybody know what place in the text makes that particular word relevant? Can anybody remember? Does anyone recall? We had 125. I give you a minute. We had an hour and 25 minutes. I give you 60 seconds, man. Y'all willing, man. I think Misha done probably done touch down by now, man. They ain't fly out to about 7. So Stanley got it. Go on and get it. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Listen to it.
And Yahuwah shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
Tell them what ships mean.
It's the same word.
That's that same word, right? He bring you into Egypt again with what type of men? What's the definition?
With men of ships.
Men of ships?
Or seamen.
Seamen. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again.
So listen, right? He said, by the way I told you, you leaving here, that's how you leaving. And you ain't going to see this place no more again. And you shall be sold to your enemies for what?
Bondmen and bondwomen.
And no man to do what?
Shall buy.
So y'all already know that Yahusha was sold as a bondman for 30 pieces of silver, was he not? And no man redeemed him either. And he was taken into that bondage by way of ships or by men. That's how he got there. But now you turn around and see that he that dwells, he will be a shelter for ships or for men. Because the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower, and those that run into it are safe. You understand? So I mentioned all that because it said by the merchant ships. So what is the merchant? Give a merchant in Proverbs 31. I know some people are like, no, that's talking about us going to slavery. Hey, I'm not focused on that. I really don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. Because for those of you who know, you ain't came around here nan time and heard us talking about we the Israelites because we went into slavery by ship. You ain't never came around here and heard us have that conversation.
Merchant
We're not
is
talking about that.
sakar.
And what that is?
That's to go around, to go about, to travel about, to go about and trade, to occupy with.
To go about and trade.
To pant, to trade, to traffic.
To traffic. Now you should remember that from what? Ezekiel 28. Let's take a look at that. Because what is it that we traffic? What is our merchandise that we selling? You know what I'm saying? That's why we say we in the trap house and we cooking up, you know what I'm saying? We hustle with these scriptures as if it's a gang of crack. You know what I'm talking about? That's what we trafficking out here on these streets, man. That's our merchandise, man. We sell word. You know what I'm talking about? And when we talking about selling word, not that we selling word, that it's a price on it. Remember what it said in Matthew 25 to them virgins that they didn't have the oil for their lamp. What the women told them to go do? Go to them that what? That sell. When the people wanted corn in Egypt, they had to go to Joseph. He was the one that what? That sold. So that goes to us buying the truth and selling it and not. Go acquire and possess it. Go to them that sell. How you going to get the truth, the wisdom, and the understanding if you don't go to them that sell? You got to go to them that's selling that. You got to go to them with the merchandise. What the verse we want with that, man? There we go. Just start at verse 1 of Proverbs 28. Ezekiel 28. I'm sorry.
The word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith Yahuwah Alahym, because your heart is lifted up, and you have said, I, Alahym, sit in the seat of Alahym in the midst of the seas, yet you a man and not Alahym.
Yet you a man and not Alahym.
Though you set your heart as the heart of Alahym.
And that said, he said, me and my Abba are one. They picked up stones to stone him. They say, you being a man, maketh yourself Alahym. Go ahead.
Behold, you wiser than Daniel.
Wiser than who?
Wiser than Daniel. There's no secret that they can hide from you.
They can't hide. Notice how many times did it say Yahusha knew the thoughts of their heart? They couldn't hide the thoughts and intents from their heart. And we around here talking about that's the devil. Man, let me tell y'all something, man. The devil don't know the thoughts and intents of your heart, man. Stop letting people tell you the devil know what you thinking. The devil don't know what you. If the devil knew what he would think, what people were thinking, he wouldn't have came at Job like that because he would have known Job wasn't gonna buck like that. The devil don't know your heart, man. The devil know your desires because you make your desires known. You know what I'm talking about? That's where he can tip you with your desires because they make them manifest. What was the devil at when Esau was like, no, man, I'm gonna die if I don't get no. There wasn't no devil there. I be tired of that junk, man. Y'all give Satan too much credit, man. Satan ain't nothing but a tempter, a deceiver, and a slanderer, and an accuser. That is what he is. He is no more than that. And an adversary. He is no more than that. He is an enemy. He is a liar. He is an accuser. And he is a slanderer. That is what he does. And he tempts people. He can only tempt you from what you desire. And he can only know what you desire by you either expressing it verbally or showing it physically. That's the only way he know what you lusting after. That man don't know the thoughts and intents of your heart. Now you're going to put him on the level with Alahym. Why you doing that? Alahym know the thoughts and intents of your heart, and he will let Satan know trying. See, when them boys and kings, he said, man, ain't another. He said, man, there was a lying spirit. He said, we'll go go do it. He said, go on ahead and do it. But that's because those men had already made manifest that they didn't want the truth. Not that Satan, I know his heart. I shall get him. Cut it out, man. Cut it out, man. That's blasphemous. That man don't know what's in intents of your heart. Satan ain't off in the cut. I know what Siddiq is desiring. I shall tempt him now. Nah, bro. That's folly. Go ahead, man.
With your wisdom and with your understanding, you have gotten you riches and have gotten gold and silver.
He said, with your wisdom and your understanding got you what?
Riches.
Wisdom and understanding got you what?
Riches.
Wisdom and understanding got you what?
Riches.
Ain't that what it said in Proverbs 8? How Satan got riches from wisdom and understanding? What wisdom and understanding Satan got when the book said if they don't speak according to the law and the testimony, ain't no light in them? And Yahusha said, and that he was a murderer from the beginning and a bold not in the truth, because the truth ain't in him. So if the truth ain't in him, he ain't got no wisdom and understanding. So how in the hell he got riches? Then you turn around and he see the only riches that Satan can offer you is the riches of this life. According to Luke, that's all he can offer you. Take a look at it in Luke 4 for people who don't know what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about that selling your soul stuff neither, man. We got to get off that celebrity. Stop focusing on them goddamn celebrities all the time, man. They're not that important. You know what I'm talking about? Nobody cares about Jay-Z and Beyonce, man. Stop worrying about them people. Screw Keke Palmer. Screw Russell Wilson, Sierra, and whoever the hell else. Jonathan Majors, whoever. These are some people that come to my mind, man. Screw them. Stop worrying about the people. Stop thinking about the people. Man, I told you this a long time ago. Why you care about an actor? This nigga get paid to play make-believe. So that means the person who you see on any news outlet, he could be playing make-believe. He is a professional pretender. That man, that woman is a professional pretender. That musician he said, it's just entertainment. That means he's a professional pretender. You don't know these people. You need to stop putting these people on a pedestal. You're really not putting these people on a pedestal. You wish to live the life that they live because everybody wants to live a life of luxury. You know what I'm talking about? Well, guess what? He say those that wear soft clothing are in king's houses. And those who going to enter into the Malki for Alahym got to suffer through much tribulation because you got to be willing to suffer affliction with the children of Alahym instead of enjoying the pleasures of a sin for a season. So you're going to have to make that choice. So you can enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, but you're going to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Most of us don't want to make the move that Moses left Pharaoh's house. You understand me? That man could have been sitting up in the lap of luxury, chilling. That man chose to suffer the same way that Yahusha was sitting in the tabernacle of Shamahin, chilling. And he chose to say, you know what? I'm going to come down here and suffer affliction with y'all. I'm going to come down here and do it. That's how he make him a sure house. See, I didn't read the Hebrews 3 when he talked about that, about, you know, he faithful over his house, which house we are, because he made it a faithful, supportive, confirmed house. See, we get caught up with all the things, these cares and affairs of this life, man. And that's why we ain't got no peace, no joy, no long suffering, no gentleness, no goodness, no meekness, no self-control. That's why we ain't got none of that, because you too caught up with the deceitfulness of riches and the cares and affairs of this life. And it's choking off the word and you can't bring forth the fruit. And you wondering why ain't no produce from what you're receiving. And it's because you give a damn about things of no consequence. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about in the grand scheme of things, these things are of no consequence. They are of no consequence. It's not going to cause you to develop who it is that you claim that you want to be. which is why he wants to keep his wife or his daughters in his house so he can moderate them. Because when you allow a woman, whether a natural woman or a woman as forth as those men who are in the body of Mashiach's mind to wonder, a man's mind, a woman's mind will create a delusion of a reality that does not exist according to her desires, and she will seek to fulfill them. You know what I'm talking about? It is on that man's job to rein her in and moderate her from her own delusion that she creates in her own mind to fulfill her desires, because she does not understand that your desires will destroy you. Because your desires are not after righteousness, nor Alahym, but after your own vain, wicked imagination and purposes. Similar to that. And that's why a lot of men don't want to be in the word, because they feel like you can try to control me. They use religion to control. Shut your stupid behind up, nigga. Because if they was using religion to control, niggas wouldn't be out here being homosexuals, fornicators, liars, transsexuals, murderers, robbers, scammers, deceitful, malicious, and spiteful, evil eyes. None of these things would be occurring. So they're not controlling you with the word. They're controlling you with your ignorance of the word and your lust and your stupidity. I told you, man, as long as you carnal, man, and you tapped into your lust, you are easily controlled. Satan can manipulate you any way he want to manipulate you. Man can manipulate you any way he want to manipulate you, because shoot, you'll manipulate yourself, because every decision you're going to make it to fit according to what it is that you desire to do. And you'll figure out a way in your mind to justify doing it. If you got to put together a plan in your mind to justify why you doing something, that's a clear sign you ain't supposed to be doing it. Because you're trying to convince yourself that you're right. Oh, I'm right to do this. If you got to spend time convincing yourself, don't do it. You're probably acting off your own flesh. You're probably acting after your own will. You're probably seeking pleasure instead of the pleasure of Alahym. You got to examine yourself in that fashion. That's why I tell you that in Psalms. Come on, man. Luke chapter 4, man. No, we get straight to the point.
Verse 6.
No, give him verse 5.
And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give you in the esteem of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I give it.
All he got, what he said he'd give him?
All the kingdoms of this world.
That's all Satan got power over, is the governments of man. So how is man going to take down something that Satan got in his hand from man? You don't understand. See, remember, he said you don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Behind the United States government is the devil. Behind the government of Russia is the devil. Didn't he tell you that the prince of the air or the prince of this world is now judged? That's who's behind it. Why is he behind it? Because these governmental systems are adversaries to the righteousness of Yahuwah. Let me tell you something, man. Because I was just telling Will this the other day, right? I'm going to be honest with you, right? A democratic republic, a democracy, socialism, communism, capitalism has never oppressed anyone. Now, when I say this, why do y'all think that I say that? Slow down, use your mind before you respond. None of these things have ever oppressed anyone. Why would you think I would say something like that? Because clearly we've seen some manner of oppression in these particular systems, have we not? But these systems oppress no one. Why do you believe that I would say such a thing? We got Ezekiel 28 still. Why would you think that I would say such a thing? Because you say Satan is the oppressor? And I can see why you would say that, but it ain't even him. I can see why you would say that, and I would allow, but that ain't even it either. Capitalism is nothing but a construct. Socialism is a construct. Communism is a construct. You know what I'm talking about? Hold on. You say sin is more the oppression? I got that. You know what I'm talking about? That's what Derek just said, right? Democracy is a construct. But those constructs have a common elements, LaJohn said they're just tools, that are needed to actually pull off that oppression. And that's man, because does. Then we just read in Genesis 6, he said man's heart was evil continually, because the construct is nothing without the man to manipulate them for their own selfish and wicked means. So it's not the construct that is oppressive, it's man that is oppressive. I don't give a damn about any of those constructs. I didn't say that to advocate for any of those constructs, that they're good, bad, evil, or indifferent. That's not my point. My point is that oppression comes from man. And this is why he says, do not envy your oppressor and choose none of his ways. So if he uses a particular way as a means of oppression, then you don't follow after that. Because again, it is not the construct is an idea from man, but an idea is nothing without a man to enforce it. See, the word of Alahym is not oppressive, but if a wicked man gets hold to it, he can make it oppressive. So it's not the word that is oppressive, it's the wicked intents of the man who is handling it. You know what I'm talking about? I'm only mentioning all of those things to strip away all the other stuff we're looking at and look at the common denominator that is needed for oppression, and it's man. Man is the purveyor of oppression. Because you can look, and this is just for the sake of example. If you had nothing but righteous men on the earth and capitalism was the system, there would never be oppression because it would be in the hands of righteous men. Righteous men don't oppress. If you would say you had communism in the hands of nothing but righteous men, then there would be no oppression in the construct of communism because righteous men don't oppress. If you had the construct of socialism and it was nothing but righteous men in the earth, socialism will not oppress because righteous men don't oppress. If you have a democratic republic or a democracy or a simple republic and there's nothing but righteous men over it, then there would never be oppression, because why? He that ruleth amongst men must be just. So they would never oppress because just men do not oppress. You understand? If you have a theocracy, then there would never be oppression because when you look at the construct of Yahusha, it has elements of capitalism, it has elements of socialism, it has elements of theocracy, it has elements of all these things. We went over this in the past. Yahusha is a socialistic theocracy by definition of the terms of those particular constructs. But it also has elements of capitalism because you can see that. Why? Because you can buy and sell products for what you want to sell them for. And you barter with an individual to pay them. Remember the parable when he said he paid everybody a penny. That's what you agreed to. Because you had people who say, I work longer, I should get more. I've been out here. He said, hey, that's what we agreed to? That's what I'm going to pay you. Let me see what Buzz said. If we would keep the Almighty, we wouldn't need man's law. Indeed. But see, I'm just talking about, but these are also, remember, these are constructs that are all created by sinners. Socialism is forth in the modern time. That's sinner created. That's not the socialism you see in the text. Communism in modern times, that's sinner. That's a sinner creation. Capitalism is a sinner creation. If it's created by sinners, oppression ain't gonna be far behind, because sinners do things with the intent to oppress. Why? Because their father, the devil, is an oppressor. So what do you expect them to do? See, that's where our wisdom come in at. And no, I expect this from you. That's what sinners do. They oppress. They seek unjust gain. They seek to have an advantage to rule over others. Remember when he said that's what the Gentiles do. And they call them benefactors. He said, y'all not going to be like that because we don't operate like that. That's what they do. So you have to understand, Yahusha was already giving a template to his apostle. Look here, man, we got to make a difference between us and them because that's how they operate their authority structure. We're not operating an authority structure like that over here. That's not what we do. We can't be overly focused on what sinners are doing. Sinners gonna sin. The book tells you wickedness proceeds from the wicked. Why are you shocked when the wicked do what it is that the wicked do? You should expect nothing less. You should not expect righteousness from a wicked-hearted person. Why are you expecting that? Why are you looking for that? Why are you shocked when you see it? Come on back to Ezekiel 28. Read verse 4 again. But that was my point. Like I said, I was talking to Will about that. This, again, that's not an advocate. That's not for any of these particular systems. is to point out that the wickedness of man's heart is what leads to oppression. You change the man's heart and oppression will cease. As long as man has an evil heart and an evil ruach, oppression will always be in the earth. And that's why he got to make a new heaven, a new earth, and none of that stuff will come to mind. And why I said there'll be no more pain, there'll be no more death, there'll be no more crime, there'll be no more remembrance of oppression, because it'll pass away, because where the ruach of Yahuwah is, there's freedom. See, once you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, you'll no longer be oppressed by the devil. See, the book told you in Acts chapter 10 that Yahusha came to free all those who were oppressed by the devil. See, a lot of maladies that people suffer, a lot of torment that people suffer, a lot of things that people be going through, man, that's the oppression of the devil. See, we looking at man's oppression. Ain't nobody focusing on how the devil oppress and to set people free from that. I expect man to oppress because man's heart is evil. You know what I'm talking about? Man's heart is evil, meaning his mind is evil because he's self-centered. You know what I'm talking about? He's seeking on how he can put himself in the most advantageous situation and circumstance, and he don't care who he step on to do it. Go ahead, man.
With your wisdom and with your understanding, you have gotten you riches and have gotten gold and silver into your treasures. This is equal 28.
Oh, my bad. My apologies. Go ahead.
With your wisdom and with your understanding, you have gotten you riches and have gotten gold and silver into your treasures. By your great wisdom and by your traffic, have you increased your riches.
By your great wisdom and your what?
Traffic.
You've done what?
Increased your riches.
And your heart is lifted up.
Because of your riches.
Now tell them what that traffic is, man.
That's rakula. That's merchandise, traffic, or trade.
That's the merchandise or traffic. What is the merchandise that we tell them what great wisdom is? What is merchandise we selling? What we selling, man?
Great is robe.
Rob, you know what I'm saying? Which is to multiply. So it's not the other word.
The wisdom is kokma.
So through the greatness of your skill. The greatness of your skill. That's why he told you to be wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. See, when you get your wisdom up, your skill get up, man. But we traffic in riches, man. Well, your traffic has increased your riches. You know what I'm talking about? See, the riches of the Ruach can come to you, man, with the man. But you got to get out here and hustle, man. You got to get out here and grind. See, I ain't even talking about, remember what he gave that parable, man. He said, man, you ain't got my stuff back with interest, man. You ain't got out here, man, on these cuts and grind. You ain't got out here and did it, man. Because, you know, that man trying to let you know, man, the name of the game is to get no sleep, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because nonstop hustle mean all profits double, man. Is you out here trying to do what it is you got to do, man, and increase that word, man. And I ain't even talking about his fourth is going out here to preach that word, man. I'm talking about to increase the merchandise within your own heart and your own soul so you can reap the benefit of the riches of it, man. You think Satan got great wisdom to traffic to increase his riches? You think Satan got great wisdom? You smoking rocks. And I ain't talking about crack rocks either. I'm talking about rocks off the ground. You simple enough in your mind to pick pebbles up off the street and put them in a bong and try to smoke them. If you think Satan got great riches to be able to, through some great wisdom, and that he got gold and silver through the abundance of his wisdom and understanding, you smoking literal rocks, boy, pebbles off the street. Boy, you smoking doggone rocks from the beach. You crazy as all outdoors, man. See, you'll read that passage in Peter where he said they're going to come to make merchandise sake. You know what I'm talking about? But Yahusha came with a different type of merchandise. He came with that word. And they say that woman, that Proverbs 31 woman, come on back with it. I don't want to say no Proverbs 31 woman. I want to say that Kyle woman, that woman of faith, because that's what a virtuous woman is. That is a woman of faith. That's a different type of woman. That's a different type of woman. Go ahead, man. Verse 14.
She's like the merchant ships. She bring her food from afar.
See, I went through all that because what he told you that in John chapter 6 that he wore. He was that bread that came down from Alahym, man, that if a man ate, he'll live forever. And that bread he gives is his body, which is symbolic of that word, man. That means, so that's what Yahusha is like, man. He like that merchant ships bringing that food from afar. He brought it from Alahym. Verse 15, look at what it said.
She rise also while it is yet night.
She rise when?
While it is yet
She
night.
rise when?
While it is yet night.
And when Yahusha got out, what time of day it was night, wasn't it? And what she do?
Give meat to her household.
And a portion to her what?
Her maid.
Didn't he sit down and give meat to his household in Luke 24? Ain't that what he did? And when he gave them meat, what he gave him word, though, didn't it? Didn't he say that our heart burned within us? Come on with it, man.
She consider a field and buy it.
She do what?
Consider a field and buy it.
And with the fruit of her hand, she do what?
Plant a vineyard.
She gird her loins with what?
With strength.
And strengthen her what?
Her arms.
See, look at what it is, right? See, that faithful woman gonna gird her loins. How many times we done read, gird up your loins like a man? Come on, man. Listen to what the next thing she do. She perceived that her what?
Merchandise is good.
Her candle don't do what?
Go out by night.
That means that woman consider her merchandise good. Boy, we know this word good, boy. Let me tell you something, man. I ain't going nowhere to convince nobody to listen to what I'm talking about. You know why? Because good dope sell itself. I ain't got to convince you and persuade you or nothing. Good dope sell itself. If you think it's trash, then you think it's trash. That's your business. I ain't here to persuade you or convince you. When you work good, you ain't got to convince nobody. Go ahead, man.
She perceived that her merchandise good, her candle go not out by night. She lay her hands to the spindle.
And lay her hands.
Hold the distaff.
Guess what she do? She stretch out her hand to the who?
To the poor.
She reach forth her hands to the who?
To the needy.
Well, we already know Yahusha did that. Go ahead.
She is not afraid of the snow of her household, for all her household clothed with scarlet.
All her household are clothed with what?
With scarlet.
With what?
Scarlet.
Tell them what scarlet is, man. I just want y'all to pause for a moment so y'all can see what that scarlet is, man. Tell them what it says. She said all her household are clothed with what?
With scarlet.
Tell them what that means, man.
Shawnee, that's scarlet crimson.
Go ahead. It's some more on that.
Just properly the insect's oculus, the dried body of the female yielding coloring matter from which is made, the dye used to cloth to color it scarlet or crimson.
The dye or the blood. See, let me show you something else. Come over here to Psalm 22, man. I go to Psalm 22, then Isaiah 14. Let me see what's going on Psalm 22. 20, let me see it, 22 and 6 is it. We ain't talked about it in a while. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing. Come over here to Psalm 22 and 6. Different word, same outcome. You know what? Before you read that, just read verse 1. Psalm 22 and 1.
My Alahym, why have you forsaken me?
Well, of course, y'all know where that comes from, so we're not going to talk about that. Go ahead.
Far from helping me, the words of my roar.
You know, chasten your son while there's hope, spread not for his crying. Come on with it, verse 2.
Oh, my Alahym, I cry in the daytime.
I cry when?
In the daytime.
And you do what?
Hear not.
And in the night season?
And am not silent.
So he cried in the daytime when he was on that state, and he cried out in the night season when he said he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, and he didn't answer. Go ahead.
But you, Kadash.
He said, but you, Kadash. It don't matter if you ain't heard me, you still sanctified.
That inhabit the praises of Yahshua.
That's right. And our fathers did what?
Trusted in you.
And they did what?
And you did deliver them.
You skipped one.
Oh, fathers trusted in you. They trusted, and you did deliver them.
He said they trusted in you, and they trusted. And he said, you saved them. Go ahead.
They cried unto you and were delivered.
They did what?
Cried unto you and were delivered.
They did what?
Cried unto you and were delivered.
And they what else?
They trusted in you and were not confounded.
They were not put to shame. We talked about that last week. He that believed never be put to shame. Say, he said in Zion, a chief stone, chief cornerstone. He that believe on him shall not be ashamed. You have to know that. You have to trust that. What's good, my G? You have to know that, bro. You got to trust that, bro. If you trust in this man, you'll never be put to shame, man. That's right, Brother Mark. You'll never be put to shame. Man, anybody telling you not to trust on Yahuwah, bro, anybody tell you not to wait on Yahuwah, anybody telling you not to hope in Yahuwah, you need to get from around them. Because they telling you Yahuwah going to put you to shame. But in reality, they putting Yahuwah to shame because they saying he a liar. You understand me? Boy, Daniel was willing to die. Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, they were willing to die before they would bring shame to this man's name. And remember, them boys said, he said, hey, man, Yahuwah able to deliver us out of this fire. But even if he don't, hey, boy, I'm not doing that. See, we got it in our mind that if I'm righteous, that he should do X, Y, Z. Why you ain't got it in your mind that maybe your death is to bring honor to his name? You ever thought about that? You ever thought that your persecution is to bring honor to his name? You ever thought your tribulation is to bring honor to his name, to sanctify him, because the greatness of his faith is manifested in you? That the meekness that is in you through that faith that's manifested to all, that maybe somebody will look at you and say, I believe that Alahym is in you as a truth, and put their whole mind and soul, heart and soul in Yahuwah, but all your selfish, narcissistic, wicked behind can think about you and what you going through, you selfish bastard. And that's why the Ruach ain't in it. Because you don't want to go through nothing for his name. You don't want to be a witness, a testimony for his name. See, we just rather talk about being a testimony for his name versus actually enduring for the word's sake that his name could be praised. We don't want to do that. When you got book full of people doing that and were willing to do it and delighted in it while they were going through it. Because their hope and trust was in him, that they did not focus on the pain at that present time, as Paul stated in Romans 8. Get it for him. Romans 8 and 14.
For as many as are led by the Ruach of Alahym, they are the sons of Alahym. Mm-hmm. For you have not received the Ruach of bondage again to fear, but you have received the Ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, That's Abba. Right. The Ruach itself bear witness with our Ruach that we are the children of Alahym.
That's right.
And if children, then heirs of Alahym, and joint heirs with HaMashiach.
So right.
If so be that we may also be esteemed together.
Indeed.
For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time
should not what?
Not worthy with the esteem which shall be revealed in us.
That's right.
For the earnest expectation of the creature wait
That's
for
good, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember that, man. I know it don't seem pleasant in the moment, but it's for your perfection. That man say no chastisement seemed joyous in the moment, but at the end it yield the peaceable fruits of righteousness to all those who are exercised thereby. You don't get to tell Yahuwah how he chasten you. You just endure the chastening to perfection. We don't want to be perfect. You want to dictate how your perfection comes. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Remember what we read in Job. We didn't even touch Job 6 and 30 and chapter 6 and chapter 36 yet. That man said, man, who teach like you? One thing I can say, man, early on to being in his word, man, and knowing that particular passage more specifically, I was able to peep and see how he instruct. Yeah, don't nobody teach like him, man. That man come and give you a lesson and give you instruction in a way that your mind really wouldn't put together how it would come for you to understand a godly purpose. You know what I'm saying? When I say, let me never even say a godly purpose, but a godly principle, if you would. And when I say godly principle, I'm talking about the principles of who he is. The way this man instructs is not only for to develop your faith and for you to sanctify yourself in the beauty of Kadash, but it's for you to learn how to be merciful, gracious, abundant in goodness and truth and long suffering and forgiving. You know what I'm talking about? That's how he instructs for you to take on his character. That's why he said to be conformed to the image of his son. You know what I'm talking about? And teach you how to be. He's going to come through and he's going to teach you in a particular way to learn how to be faithful. You know what I'm talking about? To learn how to be meek, to be able to submit and yield yourself to something greater than you. See, most people don't submit because they believe that they're the greater. See, when you believe that you're greater, you'll never submit. When you look at people, you're like, I'm greater than him. I'm not going to listen to him. I'm not going to yield to them. You're never going to do it. You're never going to do it. If you don't have in your mind that there's somebody who's greater than you, you're never going to yield. And because you'll never yield, you're going to go to hell. Not go to hell because you won't yield, but because you'll cater to your own lust, and your lust will be the end of you. Because you won't take delight in anything other than what it is that you delight in, instead of what Yahuwah delights in. That's why that is dangerous. Not this goofy stuff you hear niggas on podcasts talking about. You know what I'm saying? You just want a woman to do what you tell her to do. You know what I'm saying? No. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of people don't submit because I don't believe in what you're saying. But that's what a lot of people is with Yahuwah. You can't see the vision of Yahuwah just because you can't see it and understand it. Oh, I'm not fooling with it. You know what I'm talking about? And a lot of people don't want to wait. A lot of people, I want what I want right now. Like I said, that's what did Abraham end up doing? Sarah's like this here, just had a baby with her. Who already told you he was gonna give a seed out of your own loins from Sarah. You ain't need to do that. But nobody didn't want to wait. Let's go ahead and do it now. All it did later on was bring forth strife and contention later. Don't nothing good come from not waiting on Yahuwah and doing stuff on your own time and your own accord. Nothing good is going to come from it. You know why nothing good going to come from it? Because Yahuwah is not involved in it. And when Yahuwah is not involved in it, then no, ain't nothing good going to come from that. And when we talk about nothing good, we talking about something good that's forth is coming from him. Because you could get something out of it and you could perceive it to be good, but that don't mean that it's good. Come on, man.
But I, a worm and no man, a reproach. That's Psalm 22 and 6.
Yeah, Psalm 22 and 6.
But I, a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despise of the people. All they that see me laugh me to scorn.
They do what?
They laugh me to scorn.
So come on back, man, and give me worm in verse 6, man. Tell them what that means.
That's Tolah, that's worm or scarlet stuff or crimson.
Scarlet stuff or who?
Or crimson. Or worm, the female, caucus, Ulysses.
Indeed. Now come on back over here. Let's go over here to Isaiah chapter 14. You can give me verse 9.
Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet at your coming. It stirreth the dead for you, all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us?
Have you become like unto us?
Your pomp is brought down to the grave, the noise of your viol. The worm is spread under you.
The who is spread under you?
The worm.
The what is spread under you? And the worms do what?
Cover you.
Go ahead and tell them what that first worm is, man.
That's Ramah. That's a maggot, a worm, as a cause and sign of decay.
So corruption or death. Death is spread under you. And what do the worm do?
And then the worms, that's Tolah.
That's the word you just seen in Psalm 22 and 6. And what is that? This is symbolic of blood. That scarlet dye. And what we was looking at in Proverbs 31, it was a different word, but the same definition. It said all her household is clothed in what?
Scarlet.
Clothed in what?
Scarlet.
Let's see that again. What's that word again for scarlet in Proverbs 31 and 21? It is Sinai, which is what? Scarlet, crimson, or the insect Coccus ilicis. Same insect, right? Mm-hmm. Dried body of the female yielding coloring matter, which is the dye used for cloth to color. And that is symbolic of blood. And why is that important? Come over here to Hebrew chapter 9. Hebrew 9 and 11, if you would.
But a Mashiach being come a high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood.
By his own what?
By his own blood.
What else?
He entered in once into the Kadash place.
How much more?
Having obtained eternal redemption. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctified to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Mashiach, who through the eternal Ruach offered himself
without what?
Without spot to Alahym.
Purge
your conscience
from what?
Dead work.
To serve who?
The living Alahym.
And for this cause,
he is the mediator of the New Testament.
That by means
of death
for the redemption
of the transgressions.
See, y'all got to understand something, man. You can't redeem the transgressions without death. Somebody died. Listen to it.
Under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
For a testament,
there must also of necessity be the death of the testator.
So you didn't realize that lamb that was killed that coming out of Egypt was a sign of the death of the testator. Go ahead.
For a testament of force after men are dead.
Otherwise,
it is of no strength at all while the testator lives.
He said, whereupon
neither the first was dedicated without blood.
For when Moses had spoken
every precept to all the people according to the law,
he took
the blood of calves and of goats
with water
and scarlet wool
and hyssop
and sprinkled the Sprinkle both the book.
Sprinkle both who?
The book.
And who?
All the people.
So he sprinkled the word and the people with blood. Because it said, and her household are clothed in scarlet. And it said, and what did verse 20 say?
This, the blood of the testament, which Alahym have enjoined unto you.
Moreover, he sprinkled with
the tabernacle,
with
blood, both the tabernacle
and the what?
All the vessels of the ministry.
See, now you see that when you go, when you see him passing that cup around, he enjoined them through the blood into the testament and sprinkled both the tabernacle, Mashiach, and then all the vessels of the ministry with the blood. So then you take that back as on Passover, what everybody had to put blood on the post of their household. And now your house is the household, and now you clothed in scarlet or clothed in his blood. And of course, the scarlet is representative of what? The priesthood. And that's how you are kingdom of priests. You understand? This is how the virtuous woman whole household is covered in scarlet, or that particular insect that brings forth blood, which also shows you when Mashiach was crucified, what they put on him. They put a scarlet robe on him. And that was to represent, see, come over here to Isaiah chapter 1. Give me Isaiah 1 and 4, man.
Sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahuwah. They have provoked the Kadash Yahshua into anger. They are gone away backward. Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint.
The whole heart what?
Faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head. No soundness in it.
Ain't no soundness in it.
Wounds, bruises, and putrefying sores.
It's ugly.
They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country desolate, your cities burned with fire. Your land, strangers devoured in your presence, and desolate as overthrown by strangers. The daughter of Zion left as a cottage in a vineyard.
That's good. Drop down to verse 16. Matter of fact, make it 15.
And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear.
I ain't listening.
Your hands are full of blood.
Full of what?
Full of blood.
Full of what?
Full of blood.
What else?
Wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes.
You know why your hands full of blood? Because your hands full of sin. Not just with murder. Your hands full of sin. And you spreading forth your hands, praying to this man with sin on your hands. He ain't listening to you. Go ahead.
Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil.
Learn to do what?
Well.
Seek what?
Judgment.
Relieve who?
The oppressed.
Judge the who?
The fatherless.
Plead for the who?
Widow.
He say, come now.
And let us reason together. Saith Yahuwah.
Though your sins be as what?
As scarlet.
See, like that, they go that blood again. The sins like scarlet, boy. Go ahead.
They shall be as white as snow.
And though they be red like who?
Crimson.
They shall be as what?
As wool.
Now go to Matthew 27:25. This twofold, man. You get a 2-for-1 to bring back to your remembrance. We ain't talked about this in a long time.
Say, then answered all the people and said, his blood on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Yahusha, he delivered to be crucified.
Hey, always remember this here, man, because we can talk all this stuff we want to talk, but boy, them people ask for a murder. Them people ask for a murder. And I want you to understand something. Barabbas was a brute, and what was Barabbas in there for? For causing a rebellion. And Yahuwah put him up there, because remember, your law said don't take no satisfaction in a murderer. Yahuwah described this man as a murderer, but we would say that he was a revolutionary, but Yahuwah rejected this man. He used a man for something that in this day and time we would probably praise him for doing, and Yahuwah used him as a means to try the people if they would pick a just man over a murderer. And the people picked a murderer over a just man and violated Numbers 35. For those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, you can stay where you at. I get that for those who don't know what I'm talking about, who may not be aware of what your law say when it pertains to this particular matter. But when you swing over here to Numbers 35, get you in the right spot right there, man. Number 35, man. Verse 30. Whoso kill any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, but one witness shall not testify against any person to die. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which guilty of death, he shall surely be put to death. You shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So shall you pollute the land wherein you for blood it defile the land. This is a shalom, brother Shaul. This is another reason of why he make it a new heaven, a new earth, because the earth is defiled because murder has been done on it. And not only just the murder of any men, you murdered God. You understand that? Say, for blood it defiled the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. See, if you know your law, whosoever sheds man's blood, by man must his blood be shed. You dig? And then you turn around and you see this man say, hey, man, let his blood be on our children's children. That's why when you read Isaiah 4, he say Jerusalem got to be purged with fire. Get it for him, man. Isaiah 4:3 real quick. Excuse me.
And it shall come to pass, left in Zion and remain in Jerusalem shall be called Kadash, every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem.
That's right.
When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion.
Through what?
It shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem.
To purge the who?
The blood of Jerusalem.
Through what?
And the midst thereof by the ruach of judgment and by the ruach of burning.
Man coming with fire. Remember, he coming to judge and make war. And by fire and the sword, you who are going to plead with many. You understand me? What? Because you done defiled the land with blood. Let me back that up for you, man. Verse 31, one more time, man. Number 35, man. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which guilty of death, he shall surely be put to death. They ain't had no business taking no satisfaction in Barabbas. That man was guilty of death. He supposed to die. Because he said he was in there for sedation, which is a revolt, a rebellion. But Yahuwah called him a murderer. And the people condemned themselves by saying, give us Barabbas. That's something to consider. You see what I'm talking about? Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which guilty of death. But death, you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that should come again to dwell in the land unto the death of the priest. You shall not pollute the land wherein you, for blood it defiled the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell. For I, Yahuwah, dwell amongst the sons of Yasharal. Why you think this man had to put you out of there, man? He dwelling in the land, you shedding blood in it. You shedding blood in it. Come on, man. Number 27, 25. I mean, Matthew 27, 25.
Then answered all the people and said, his blood on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Yahusha, he delivered to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahusha to the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe.
A scarlet who?
A scarlet robe.
A scarlet who?
A scarlet robe.
Ain't that something? That scarlet robe is representative of his household. That scarlet robe representative of the sin you carrying. Them putting that scarlet robe on him is representative of his whole household being covered in his blood. And it's also representative of the blood that's on his household for the sins they committed. He was taking that on. Didn't it say, though your sins be as scarlet? Ain't that what it said? That's tough. That's how much your Alahym love you, man. Come on back to Proverbs 31, man. I told you, if you thought we were just talking about a virtuous woman as forth as a natural born woman, oh no. Because see, that virtuous woman is Yahusha, and that virtuous woman is Yasharal. When I say Yasharal, I'm talking about the men of Yasharal. Because everything that she's supposed to be doing, you supposed to be doing. If he done sent you to go, if you say you that Kayil woman, if you say you that woman of value, that woman of strength, that woman who has wealth, because that's one of the definitions of Kayil is wealth. And we ain't even got to the main verse of why I wanted to even discuss this. Amen, man. Shalom, Jedediah, man. Read me verse 21, Proverbs 31 one more time.
She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household clothed with scarlet.
She make herself what?
Coverings of tapestry.
Her clothing is what?
Silk and purple.
What we talked about? What's the colors of the high priest garment? What the colors were? Scarlet and purple. Showing you how this is the priesthood of Melchizedek that she going here, that she making this tapestry of this clothing for. Continue. Listen what else he say.
Her husband is known in the gates.
When he sit among who?
The elders of the land.
Tell him what known is, man. Is Yahusha known in the gates? Because your husband's supposed to be known through you.
That's Yada.
That's Yada, to know, to recognize. So as a natural born woman, people are supposed to be able to know that you are such and such husband based on how you move and behave as forth as fulfilling his will. As forth as building his house, as it says that wise woman does. People are supposed to know that you this man's wife and that he's supposed to be known through you. Because the woman is supposed to be a representation of her husband. That's literally what it is, man. That's why I say that dude that was married to Megan Good, nigga supposed to walk in. But we already know he a goofy. Because when that lady stood up in the church one time, man, and corrected him for letting his wife dress like a whore, well, corrected her. Let me rephrase that, because she spoke directly to her. No, I take that back. She spoke to him. He would. That's what we not gonna do. What you mean? That's what we not gonna do? You ain't supposed to be taking up for this woman dressing like some common scallywag. You want to walk around here with your back out, your shoulders out, your cleavage out, you know what I'm talking about, your camel toe out, nipples being seen. That's how you represent your husband. You letting everybody know your husband is a sucker. Because he shouldn't even have to tell you don't dress like no common whore. You should have enough level of respect to say, I won't have nobody dishonor him because I want to look like a tramp. You wouldn't dishonor him. You wouldn't disrespect him. You wouldn't do none of that. But see, there's a difference, because this is what we know. It's forth as us being his wife. If you don't want to fulfill your husband's vision, you don't love him. You're not committed to him. You don't delight in him. You don't fool with him. You know what I'm talking about? That's what we know. How do we know that? Because your husband's desire was for you to fulfill his covenant and hold fast. See, we like to see, we're supposed to be a light to the nations. That man ain't never told you to be no light to no nations. He told you to obey and trust him. And through you doing that, that would be an example to the nations. He didn't tell you it was your job to go save them people. He say, what do you say to a woman who say men are insecure? But see, this is the thing. This is where you get the problem in that. You trying to change a woman who already dressing like that. If you already see that's how she dress, let her dress like that and don't be involved with her. That's where the mistake come in at. You want to get with a woman who dress like that and you want to try to convince her not to do it. No. Don't try to do that. Don't try to do that. Not if you're trying to be with. Now, if you're trying to sell soul, you give her the information and say, nah, baby, this is not how godly women move. But if you're looking at this woman and saying you interested in her, why are you even interested in a woman who dressed like a scallywag? You know what I'm talking about? Because that should be a red flag to you. That says something about this woman internally of what she got going on, that she feels the need to objectify herself. You know what I'm talking about? This is not a wife. This is not a woman that you consider for such a high position in your life. This woman's not a wife. So you don't even entertain her. You don't even try to convince her that. See, she's going to try to call you insecure, which is meaning you lack confidence. How am I lacking confidence? Because I don't want you to look like no whore. All that is she trying to tell you, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care what you say. And that means that woman's not a wife. But any woman who can look a man in the face and say, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do what I want to do, she is not a wife. Period. You're not a wife. You're just a woman. You know what I'm talking about? And you shouldn't deal with no woman who gonna move that way. It's better to be by yourself. You know why? Because all that's going to lead to is strife and contention. And the book says it's better for you to dwell on a rooftop than with a woman who is contentious. Because that's what's going to happen. Because you're going to try to exert your authority. Because if she can't be corrected, then she can't be directed. And if she can't yield to authority, then there's nothing that you can do. And nobody should be able to benefit from anything you got going on if they don't respect your authority. If they're not willing to yield to you. If you don't want to yield to my authority, then you don't get to benefit from any of my labor. It's not how that works. Yahusha didn't want to yield to the authority of Yahuwah. You didn't get to benefit from him. You can't do what you want to do and not fulfill my will and think that I'm going to bless you. Yahuwah don't operate like that. And nobody should operate. Would you reward your children if they didn't do what you said to do? Or they told you I'm not going to fulfill your will? You're going to give them what they want anyway? No, you're not going to do that. So you can't do that with no woman either. And Yahuwah definitely didn't do it. Because all that reinforces in that person's mind is that I can be disobedient and rebellious and still get what I want. And when the same what Saul did when he was like Yahuwah wouldn't answer him, when they know that they being disobedient and rebellious, then they just go to seek to fulfill their own will because they know that he's not going to reward them. Why is he going to reward them for this? This is when Yahusha started doing side missions, like you do on some of the video games y'all playing. It's a side mission. This ain't the main mission. I'm gonna go do a side mission. I just heard that in the video. I have no knowledge of any of those things. I haven't played a video game in a very, very long time. And when I did play video games, I only played sports games. You know what I'm saying? I'm not playing Call of Duty. I'm not playing Fortnite. I don't never cared for first-person shooters or anything of the sort. Just give me a little bit of Madden and we good. I was never a 2K guy because 2K didn't exist. We played NBA Live. That's how you know that I wasn't playing any of those things. But by the time 2K became a thing, I had no idea what that was. I pretty much played Madden. You know what I'm saying? That is what I took pleasure in playing. I haven't played it in a long, long time. I don't think that I ain't played Madden probably since what, 2015 or 16? It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I can't even see myself buying a video game system because I know I ain't gonna play it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't knocking nobody who do play it. That's your business if that's what you choose to do to relax your mind. I didn't know I ain't gonna play it. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I don't want to play the computer, and I don't want to play online. Like you used to have the time, you do your franchise mode. You know that's what people are into. But mainly, especially young man, the purpose of having Madden was to play your homeboys. And it's not the same playing a nigga online and he talking through a headset. You know what I'm saying? It was he sitting right there at the house, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it was about, man. I don't want to play this nigga. He at home. I'm talking through him to the headset. It's not the same. That's just me, though. I'm old also, so there's that. You know what I'm saying? And when I say old, meaning that, that boy said game day. That's a long time ago, boy. He said he more like the adventurous game. Yeah, and everybody got that because I always played sports games. That was my thing. You know what I'm saying? I like sports. So, I would play triple play. I played all the EA sports games. You know what I'm saying? That's what I played. I wanted the actual simulators of sports games. That's what I like to play. I didn't play the other stuff. Of course, we played Mario and Sonic because that's what they came up with until the sports games was the thing. And then, that's what we played. So, at least that's what I played. You know what I'm talking about? That's just me, though. Everybody got their own thing. Proverbs 31 and 23.
Her husband is known in the gates when he sit among the elders of the land.
She make what?
Fine linen.
And she do what with it?
And sell.
And she deliver girdles to the what?
And to the merchant.
What the book tell you? The fine linen is what? Clean and white. That's the righteousness of the what? Saints, right? Book say let your garments always be right? So guess what? When you selling the fine linen, that means you selling faith, man. That's what it said this woman sell. That's what she make. Tell them what make is by definition, man.
That's I saw to do, fashion,
to do, to fashion, to accomplish, to make. She make fine linen. Say I put righteousness on as a robe. You dig? That's how that goes. Come on with it, man.
Strength and honor, her clothing.
She covered in strength and honor. That faith that she covered with, because that's the fine linen, which is clean white, the righteousness of the saints. And she rejoiced in the what?
In time to come.
And when she opened her mouth, she opened it with what?
With wisdom.
And in her tongue is what?
The law of kindness.
What is the wisdom here? What word did they use? Kokma, skill. And kased is the word for kindness. It said the law of kindness. Jeremiah 31 and 3. On general principle.
Yahuwah have appeared of old unto me. Yea, I have loved you with an everlasting love.
I loved you with a what?
Everlasting love.
I loved you with a what?
Everlasting love.
What up?
Therefore, with loving kindness.
With what?
With loving kindness.
With what?
With loving kindness.
With what?
Loving kindness.
Will I what?
Have I drawn you?
This is what the virtuous woman says. Her tongue, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Kased is the word, that's goodness, that's faithfulness. Give it a definition, man. It's loving kindness is the same word, kased. We talk about loving kindness. Me with your loving kindness in Psalms 119 on Wednesday. That's what make you alive. And it said this virtuous woman, that's what's on her tongue. Kased by definition is goodness and whatever. And of course, loving kindness.
That's goodness, kindness, faithfulness.
Goodness, kindness, and faithfulness.
Mercy, pity,
mercy, mercy and pity. So if you are a Kayil woman, whether a natural woman or a woman, because you are the body of Mashiach. Mercy, pity, compassion, goodness, and faithfulness. That's what's supposed to be coming out of your mouth. That lets you know that's what you're supposed to be preaching. This is how that wise woman builds her husband's house. She's going to build it because the law of Chesed is in her mouth, which is what you seen when Abigail was talking to David. You know what I'm talking about? It was goodness, faithfulness, mercy, and pity in her mouth. It was mercy and pity for Nabal, advocating on his behalf that he not be killed. That you can see that 1 John 2:1. If any man sin, little children sin not, but if any man sin, we have an advocate in heaven, Yahusha HaMashiach, the righteous. You know what I'm talking about? You see how all this stuff playing together. And then it says she opened her mouth with wisdom. That means when she opened her mouth, she know right from wrong. She know what to do and when not to do it. That's what this is. What when if you say that, oh, because everybody say I'm a Proverbs 31 woman, you don't never hear them talking about this woman got no wisdom. You ain't never hear nobody talking about this woman got a tongue with kindness in it. Don't nobody never talk about that. Only thing they want to talk about is she made clothes and planted a vineyard and she cooked food. You can do that and not be no virtuous woman. Hoes cook food. Hoes make clothes. That's pretending. You think by performing an act that is exemplary of the intrinsic quality that makes this woman a Kayil woman. The intrinsic quality that makes her a Kayil woman is because she fears Yahuwah. And because she fears Yahuwah, she has acquired wisdom. That's why we went and looked at Abigail, because it said this was a woman of good understanding. Her good understanding was the understanding of who Yahuwah is and how Yahuwah operates, and a manifestation of the law of kindness in her speech while describing Yahuwah to this man so that he wouldn't kill her husband, because she knew her husband was a fool. She knew her husband was worthy of death. And even in the mercy and pity and compassion she had for her husband, she was willing to take the iniquity on herself. Sound like the Lord to me. You know what I'm talking about? So when you turn around and you look at it, that virtuous woman is not just a natural woman. That's exemplary of the body of Mashiach. Is the law of kindness in your tongue. You know what I'm talking about? When you open your mouth, are you opening your mouth with wisdom and skill so that this person can have great success? Which goes back to the part that we were talking about understanding the week before. We go back to what we were talking about Wednesday with the word. And how you need the word to be made alive, because he said, quicken me with your Irma or your word, quicken me with your mishpah or your judgment, quicken me with your loving kindness or your chesed. So chesed make you alive, and the virtuous woman has that law on her tongue. You know what I'm talking about? So how do you say that you this man bride and the law of chesed is not on your tongue? Because if the law of chesed is on your tongue, that means the law of HaMashiach is on your tongue, which means Exodus 34:6 is on your tongue, which means the gospel is on your tongue. Oh man, they don't hear that. Which of course we know Yahusha opened his mouth with the law of kindness. We know he did that. Verse 26 one more time, man. Proverbs 31.
She opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue the law of kindness.
Her children?
She looked well to the ways of her household.
She looked well to the what?
Ways of her household.
She looked well
to the ways of her household, and eat not the bread of idleness.
And that's what Mashiach did. He looked well to the way of his household. We talked about that, a sure house. Ain't that what we talked about earlier? Mm-hmm. Come on with it, man.
Her children will rise up and call her blessed.
Call her who?
Call her blessed.
Call her who?
Her blessed. Mm-hmm. Her husband, and he praised her.
Didn't he say, whosoever honor me, my father honor? Ain't that what it said? Many daughters have done what?
Virtuously.
What else?
But you excel them all.
But you do what?
Excel them all.
It said there's been many righteous men before Yahusha, but he was greater than all of them. He said not at any time did he call any of the Malachim's son. Ain't that what the book say? Come on with it, man. Favor is what?
Deceitful.
Beauty.
Vain.
A woman that what?
Fear Yahuwah.
She shall be what?
Praised.
So if you don't fear Yahuwah, what you getting praised for? Ain't nobody praising you because you cook. Ain't nobody praising you because you clean no house. Nobody don't care about that. Where is your reverence and respect for your maker? And through your reverence and respect for your maker, you should have reverence and respect for everyone around you to be the manifestation of this woman of faith that we talking about. Give her the fruit of her what?
of her hands,
and let her own what?
Works, praise her in the gates.
And that's why he say, you know what I'm saying? And my reward is with me to give every man according to his work shall be. But yeah, we stop right there for now. Because we can't put nothing else in together, man. We already 2.5 hours in. Hallelujah for Yahusha in the word. Praise be to Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahusha. So, with that being said, yeah. When you take a look at that, man, of course, you see the dual thing of what we were discussing this evening. This really wasn't the focus on the ladies. I know the ladies could probably take, you know, elements of themselves for whatever they would need it for. But they weren't the primary focus of looking at Proverbs 31 this evening. The primary focus was to look at how Yahusha was the fulfillment of that virtuous woman, and also how the body of Mashiach is supposed to be representative of this same woman. You know what I'm talking about? That means the men are supposed to be representative of that same woman. Because remember, a virtuous woman is not virtue in English. It is Kayil. That is the word that is used for virtuous in this passage. Go ahead and give them the definition for Kayil, for those who may not be aware.
That strength, might, efficiency, wealth, and army.
Strength and might. That's why we went back and read Isaiah 26. That woman's strength and might come from her faith. That's where it comes from. You ain't got no strength and no might without faith in Yahuwah. You ain't got none. Not by strength. Give me Zechariah 4:6 real quick, man. Just real quick. Listen to it. What does it say? Good with him, y'all. He coming. The phone acting up. He said they don't like it.
Then he answered and spake unto me, saying,
the definition of virtue. What you read? That boy tired.
You said Zechariah 4:6. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. My bad. Go ahead, Zechariah 4:6. Come on. It didn't sound like, but that's something else.
Yeah. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this the word of Yahuwah unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my ruach, saith Yahuwah of hosts.
That's what we don't want to realize. It's by his power. The power is in his ruach. The power is not in you. The power that you got in you is destined to fail because it's temporary. You may be able to do a few things through your own might and your own power, but your own might and your own power is only going to take you so far. You know what I'm talking about? It's only going to take you so far. It's not to say that they can't take you anywhere, but in juxtaposition to Yahuwah, it's only going to take you so far. You got to have the power that comes from his ruach. And most of us don't desire the power that comes from his ruach because you would rather rely on yourself. But then you would have to look yourself in the mirror and say, every time you relied on yourself, what did it get you? And then you would have to ask yourself, at any time that I relied on Yahuwah, what did it get me? And compare and contrast. This is only something that each individual person can do for themselves. Anytime you try to rely on yourself, what was the outcome? In comparison to when you relied on Yahuwah, what was the outcome? And then compare. And then you can be able to determine which one is greater and which one you should do. But we all know. That's it. Now, if you're being honest with yourself. Now, if you're going to lie to yourself, that's different. You know what I'm talking about? Because I can tell you from personal experience, yeah, it's better to go ahead and rely on Yahuwah than rely on yourself. Because when you rely on yourself, he'll put you in a box to where you're going to have to turn around and come back to him and his way and his will and what he delighted in. You're going to have to do it. And if you choose not to do it, then he's going to make sure that he rain down destruction on your head at the time he see fit to do so. because he's going to destroy it and tear it up, or he just lets you just give you over to it and let that be your end. You know what I'm saying? So that's all the things that we have to look at and compare those. But hey, let's shout out the house of Alahym in the name of Yahusha. Man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Remember, dang, I meant that earlier. I can do it now. $125 for family, $85 for singles, for trumpets. It is due by September the 5th. Also, we are in preliminary stages. If Yahuwah permits, if he allows, that we will have some type of what some people would call a Hebrew gathering, a Hebrew function in Jacksonville, Florida, if Yahuwah wills. It will be focused. I know some of y'all are familiar with those type of events. This will not be a hangout type of deal. This will not just be, oh, we're going to be performing type of deal and rapping and rhyming, because I'm going to tell you something. We're going to have service on Friday, not because people going to come down here, because as y'all know, because you're here, we have service every Friday night, and that will not change. And we have service, y'all willing, every Saturday afternoon, and that will not change. The prime reason and focus is that if you say I'm a brewer and you want to be tapped in with brews and you love the word and you about the word, then you're going to come down here and get this work. You know what I'm talking about? And you're going to link up and this, that, there, and the third. You know what I'm saying? And if you are musically inclined and you desire to perform, then, a platform will be presented for you. If you're looking to get paid, you better holler at the Lord, because I ain't got to rush a nickel for you. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm not a show promoter. I'm not a music promoter. We ain't selling no tickets and none of the sort. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't doing it. I ain't knocking nobody who do. I'm just telling you that I'm not a music promoter. I'm not finna charge you to come get no, because it's centered around the word. I cannot charge you to come get no word. You know what I'm talking about? I can't do that. I won't do that under no circumstance. Because if it ain't nobody in our group of performing, then so be it. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm just putting that out there for those of you who are not here, that if Yahuwah permit and that get down and more, and then of course, more information to be given as it is able to be executed, because this is something that we done had a desire to do for a good few seasons. You know what I'm saying? We're going to pull that off. You know what I'm talking about? And you can slide through and we're going to make it do what it do. You can get this work. We're going to hang out and we're going to put this, you know what I'm saying? Let y'all hear some of these people abilities on the microphone, whether rhyming or singing or the sort. Ain't no praise dancing though. Don't come talking about, I praise dance. Do that at home. You ain't finna do that around here. David danced. It was music playing though. He wasn't on no stage talking about he dancing for the Lord. You know what I'm talking about? To entertain a group of people. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to go somewhere else for that. No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? But we're not doing that. Ain't no women. I don't care what you got on. You're not finna be getting on no stage gyrating in front of no group of people. You know what I'm talking about? Talking about you doing that for the Lord. No, we're not. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You don't like it? White quality control. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But if we're willing, man, if we're able to pull it off, it'll be sometime after our observation of tabernacles, if the Lord permit. Could be later than that. You know what I'm saying? But our hopes, desire to Alahym is that he allow that to be able to come to pass. You know what I'm saying? We can get ample time for those of you who are not local, you know what I'm saying, to make your way down. Because like I said, ain't no charging. So you ain't got to worry about paying nothing to come through the door. You know what I'm talking about? At the bare minimum, we try to have some vittles, you know what I'm saying? At the least, you know what I'm talking about? But yeah, ain't no charging. So let's let you know the whole thing gonna be free. Ain't nobody charging you nothing. You know what I'm talking about? So just let that be known. So yeah, we got that going on. Of course, you know what? Atonement is what, September 28th, 29th, somewhere like that. What Tabernacle start what, October the 2nd? Somewhere in that. Don't quote me on that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who actually got it in front of them know they can put it in chat. I'm just mentioning that if you want to slide through. It's not a big deal if you want to slide through. All you got to do is let us know that you're sliding through. Not because, oh, you just got to let me know. That's more so for the ladies, for if it's a pause, extra head, you know what I'm talking about, that they're aware of that as far as food is concerned. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Mother Bomb would say October 4th. Mm-hmm. That's why. That if you slide through, and if you've already let me know that you slide through, you don't have to reiterate that. I'm just speaking for people who it might be in their mind and they'd be interested. You know what I'm talking about? Just holler at me, let me know, so I can let them know. You know what I'm saying? Because they need to have that information. It's pertinent for them. You know what I'm talking about? You know, them ladies got a system going on. I think it's working for them, and we want to make sure that it flow smoothly as possible because they work hard during that. During Passover and Tabernacles, some ladies work hard, man. So that's why I'm mentioning that. Because on Passover and Tabernacles, them ladies cooking. They cooking 8 days in a row. You know what I'm talking about? They have to structure their day around that if it's their day to cook and things of that nature. So I want to try to be able to make that as easy as smooth for them as possible. And their labor of love that they're performing for Yahuwah and on y'all behalf, so you can chew. You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind, gentlemen, and them ladies working hard for them 16 days. You know what I'm talking about? That's why I'm glad, you know, I don't know who came up. I don't know if it was Muffin Idea solely or group effort, but of course, you know, on a single day, decide, you know what, we gonna cater. And make it easier for them. You know what I'm saying? Make it smooth for them. Because it can get hectic, man. It can get hectic. Because niggas is greedy. And niggas pick, I don't like to eat this. Yeah, you ain't say that in the school cafeteria, nigga. You wouldn't took what that big fat white black lady gave you and you ate it.
Still said it.
I still said it. I just saved my couple dollars so I could buy Fruitopia because I wanted some juice. Do they even make them joints? I ain't seen one of them joints in a long time. Shalom, man. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man. Y'all willing, man. We be back on tomorrow with it. You know what I'm talking about? I think Misha them done landed by now. I'm finna call in a second though, but I wait till they have. I don't think it's a 4-hour flight. I think they slid out by 7:30. You know what I'm saying? It's 11:40. So I wait till they in Duval County by this time. So yes, sir. You stay safe out there, bro. So y'all willing, man. We be back on tomorrow, man. Make it do what it do. You know what I'm talking about? Yahuwah Baruch. Yeah, until then. All right, Clubhouse. Y'all ain't got nothing for me, man. Y'all call it an evening.